Hello everyone and welcome to 3Wide TV, and Total Nonstop Racing is back here on the channel. We got the TNR Cup presented by Schue's Lawn Care Service. I'm Peter Short, and alongside me all season long is Garrett Gleason. And Garrett, no place better to start things off than here at Daytona International Speedway. We're going back in time. We're bringing out the Gen 4 cars this season. Going to be a lot of fun, kind of an homage to the roots of TNR back in the day in the NASCAR Racing 2003 season. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing what these drivers can do with all the horsepower that they have at their right foot.
Peter, I have the biggest smile on my face. I am so excited to be back racing here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. Like you said, back to our roots, these cars that we grew up with. And at the bumpy 2008 version of Daytona, these cars are going to be an absolute handful for these guys, and I think they're going to put on a tremendous race. And Peter, we have 2 races tonight, so save some energy, bud.
Yeah, that's right. 2 races on hand for all of us here tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun to see exactly how that all has to come into play. So, folks, make sure you can stay on the kind of tip of your toes all night long. But Garrett, you know, here at Daytona, definitely going to be one of those things that we're going to be keeping our eyes on all season long is who is going to be the driver that gets to go to victory lane the most. There's a lot of these drivers out here racing these cars for the first time, and winning races is going to be key if you're going to want to end up atop the leaderboard at the end of the season.
Peter, I have my eyes on Philip Scott, our champion from last season. These cars suit his driving style. This schedule suits his driving style, and he is hungry to continue that legacy that he started last season by becoming our champion. But Peter, we have guys from last season that either are running partial schedules or not running at all with these Gen 4 cars. So the opportunity is there for first-time winners. A lot of these guys in the field tonight, it's their TNR debut. We're going to have a fun season filled with first-timers, Peter, and I think that's one of the more exciting aspects of these broadcasts, and not even only at a place here like Daytona where anyone can win. I think some of these intermediate tracks are going to play into that as well.
Yeah, definitely a lot of races on the schedule that we will go to this season. I really love the diversity of the schedule. There's some racetracks in this particular schedule that are going to be kind of more difficult than others, Garrett, and that, of course, is going to make it very interesting for everyone. We start here tonight at Daytona, then we go to Legacy Atlanta. We know how difficult that is, then Phoenix, Pocono, both of those legacy versions as well. Lucas Oil kind of throwing a little bit of a wrench in things mid-season. Knock Hill as well. That was a fun road course. We broadcasted that a couple seasons back at the National Sim Racing Association. Michigan, Rockingham, Talladega, Kansas, and Milwaukee to round out our regular season. I'm looking at Milwaukee as one of those interesting races. And then in the chase, we got North Wilkesboro, California, which is always fun, and Watkins Glen, Twin Ring, Motegi, which is going to be very interesting. And rounding out the season, October 30th, the day before Halloween, at a racetrack that has hosted many season finales. That is Homestead Miami Speedway. So going to be a lot of fun to see everything sort out all season long. And one other thing that's cool to see out there on the racetrack is Pontiacs here, Garrett. Love to see a couple of Pontiac machines out there. And I used to love seeing those Grand Prix back in the day. And luckily with the Gen 4 body, we can put the Grand Prix kind of stickers on the machine and go out there and race it.
I love seeing it, Peter. The way back to the Pontiac, they look like Dale Earnhardt's out there with Schue's paint scheme, but that's what these cars allow you to do. They allow you to go back in time and like we talked about, to our roots. And I just love to see it. I think the schedule is going to play into these guys' hands. These high horsepower cars that these guys are just going to be able to drive, and the best drivers are going to come away with the wins. And there's my pick for a repeat champion right there, Mr. Philip Scott. And Peter, before we get too far into this, just want to thank all of our sponsors who are making this season possible. Jason Schue, World Ninja League here with Phil. The Talkin' Giants boys, want to give them a shout out there on Vincent Valvano's car. Jimbo and the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, Danae Jewelers, Bill Edwards for his paint schemes, and everybody. Could not do this without you guys. It is an absolute pleasure, and I'm so glad to be back on 3Wide TV.
Yeah, great to have a new subset of sponsors here this season, and you'll see a couple of those names out there on the cars, like you were saying, Garrett, but it's going to be really fun to see these drivers for tonight. Stay tuned, Sports Duels. Big shout out to Jimbo for sponsoring both races here tonight. As there's an interesting car. That's the number 77 out there on the racetrack. That is Matt Muir in his Hugger Oranges number 77. That is a throwback, Garrett, to the EA Sports days. And you and I know that really Total Nonstop Racing started back with the EA Sports games. I think Hugger Oranges was added in NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup, if I recall correctly, and kind of cool to see a couple of Hugger Oranges machines out there on the racetrack, and kind of playing homage to even more of the Total Nonstop Racing history, and it's going on 20 years. It will be 20 years in a couple of years here, Garrett, since TNR was formed, and that's kind of crazy to think about.
It is absolutely crazy. And Peter, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was stumbling across the internet, and I saw somebody asking for teammates on one of the EA Sports forums, and I ended up getting signed up. A guy named Ruben James, I remember his name was, and we started racing. And then Mintam Wynn started the league, and then it eventually became TNR. But going back to the Hugger Oranges, my mother's maiden name is Hugler, so I always used to run that paint scheme because I figured it was pretty close to my grandparents' name. So that's a real nostalgic throwback, Peter, and I really love it.
Yeah, how about that? As oh man, looks like someone's already having a little bit of problems here in practice. There is well, that is James Lorello. Not sure why it's not showing up as a paint scheme on my end. I promise you that everything is refreshed on my end. Maybe I can see if I can kind of quickly refresh everyone's scheme. I think I know how to do that. Yeah, it looks like everyone is their paint schemes are all refreshing. So we'll see whether or not that fixes James Sorello's scheme. Otherwise, we might do a couple more things as a couple drivers sitting on pit road right now. There's the 06 machine, Sean Billman. A couple of new names this season, Garrett, here in the TNR Cup Series, at least, since we last broadcasted here on 3Y TV a couple of seasons ago. So that'll be fun for everyone at home to get to kind of learn their new favorite driver. There's a little bit of contact there on the backstretch. Luckily, practice is just wrapping up. It was Tom Bourne, the number 16, Garrett, who was fastest in the practice session, but now we get to find out who will start on pole for the first Stay Tuned Sports Podcast doubleheader here tonight. Beautiful look of the Daytona International Speedway as drivers will be getting out there onto the racetrack. Here is one of those, the number 81 of Ty Smith in the Chevy Monte Carlo, and looks like that front end, Garrett, is all taped up, getting here ready for qualifying. Going to try and put a good lap time in, kind of a DEI look to that number 81. They were always fast here on the super speedways.
Yeah, DEI/Chance 2 paint scheme. I love to see it, and for anyone that this is your first time watching qualifying at Daytona or Talladega super speedway race, these guys are going to run the high line, get their cars and motors wound all the way up, and get down towards that bottom line for their second lap. So we're going to not see anything remarkably different as each driver goes out here. They're going to get as close to that wall as they can. I believe there's some sort of air buffer in an iRacing period that you could probably talk about better than I can. But oh, look, at paint scheme popped up.
Yeah, there's a re-download paints button, and I just smacked that button, and we'll see if it fixes things. Hopefully it does. We'll see whether or not that is an accurate paint scheme or not, hopefully here in just a little bit, as DJ Stagner here in his Chevy is working his way around the speedway, just like you said there, Garrett, running up there on the wall. There's the number 14, Gavin Fitzgerald, one of the Canadians that we have in the field here tonight, number 14 machine working his way up onto the speedway right now, hopefully going to put in a good lap time. One thing I don't expect to see a lot here tonight, Garrett, is bump drafting. These Gen 4 cars, they don't really like bump drafting with one another. You can do it, but you have to be very careful. They don't have as front of a or flat of a front end as the modern day cup cars, so might not see a whole lot of bump drafting, and if we do, things might go awry very quickly.
You're absolutely right, Peter. I ran out there for a couple laps in practice, and I did see a little bit, but you have to be so precise with these things, and I'm thinking, Peter, last lap, maybe last ditch effort, guys might try to give each other a little bit of a push, and it'll only be the best of the best out there. For some reason, I'm having flashbacks to Jason Grossi is just bumping somebody consistently here and being able to pull it off. But that's one of many. I expect these guys to be in their best behavior and give a little bit of that buffer zone between each car, especially early on in these races.
Garrett, I think that particular person might have been you, actually. So, not sure. Here's the number 72 machine right here on the screen. Jonathan Gaston and his Chevrolet working his way around the speedway. Currently, fastest of all is Brandon Buchwald. I believe that's how you pronounce that name, the number 96. But as I say that, that is the number 47. Now, folks, we have two floppy telliers in the field here tonight. It's not the same person. Garrett, Mike's a talented driver, but I don't think he can drive two cars at once. Maybe he's got two PCs, one running with his left arm, one running with the right one. One you drive with your left foot, one you drive with your right foot. Mike's talented. I don't think he's that talented, though. I mean, he might say otherwise. But two telliers in the field, Garrett, and I think maybe which one's who's who.
Yeah, our childhood friend is driving the number 47 there, and I believe Robert Kenny is in the 27. So we'll have to, I believe it's Robert Kenny. I might have to double check with Mike on that, but it'll be all corrected for race number 2 tonight. Just a little bit of an issue. Mike needed to use somebody's account at the end of the last season for like one race, and our talented administrators team, me, made a mistake and forgot to remove it.
And Garrett, I don't know why paint schemes are doing this. Maybe they'll all fix themselves when everyone's on the same track. I'm not sure, but I don't know. Did iRacing change something or something, Garrett?
Peter, the issue we are having is with these guys upload a either incorrect or wrong size decal layer on trading paints, and for some reason that's just turning paint schemes white. We tried to inform everyone of this before we went on air to remove the layer and then refresh paints, but I don't think everyone did. So again, hopefully by race number 2 we're able to figure this out. But it's going to be even more fun for us, Peter, because we don't know who's who out there.
Well, that's we don't really know who's who anyway, and isn't that right? So white car number 13 here. You can't even see the number. That's James Arello working his way, currently calling his number 13 is in 13th, but as you can see, qualifying wrapping up here. Tom Bourne in the number 16, fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying as well, and that is really good news for the number 16 here tonight. We'll be starting up at the front of the field. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's race info. So this is a doubleheader race number 1. Current temperature, you can see 70 degrees Fahrenheit, quite nice. 61% relative humidity. That's not chance of rain yet. iRacing will be adding rain soon, but that's just 61% humidity. And of course, tonight's race brought to you by Stay Tuned Sports. Big shout out to them, one of our partners here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. I, of course, Peter Short. Alongside me is Garrett Gleason, league owner and administrator here for tonight's Daytona events in the Schue's Lawn Care Service Cup Series. The Gen 4 is going to be a lot of fun all season long, but we kick things off here in a hurry. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's starting lineup for everyone as well. I just have to go find that button. I haven't done this in a few weeks, Garrett. It's been a little bit. Starting on the pole here for race number 1 is Tom Bourne, number 16. That is not Mike Floppy Tellier to his outside, but is one of the two Tellier machines. It's actually right behind him, the number 47, who's actually Mike Floppy Tellier. So to add to the confusion, they're starting even close to one another. TJ Stagner splits the Tellier machines in the number 12 right there in 3rd. Brandon Buchwald in 5th. Matt Weir in 6th. Eric Kepf, Jamar Dumas, Philip Scott, and Carl Faust round out our top 10 there, Garrett.
Sorry, Peter. I was Ty Smith in the 81 will roll off in 11th. Matthew Rodriguez back in the 57 for this season. Rolls off in 12th. James Lorello in the 13 starts 13th. Maybe that's good luck. I like the number 13. Some people don't. Jason Schue, our league sponsor and our good friends, rolls off in 14th. Jonathan Gaston will start 15th. And Will Radcliffe, our friend from the World Racing Network, will start 16th. Jimbo, race sponsor, rolls off in 17th. Gavin Fitzgerald is outside in 18th. Chuck Sweeting, who won a lot of races and really burst onto the scene in TNR last season, will start 19th. And our good friend Jake Bustos in the 74 rounds out our top 20, Peter.
Yeah, 21st here tonight is Ryan Potter, and starting alongside him is, aptly named Doze, Stephen Doziak Jr., Ethan Gregory, and Austin Grover. Great to see Wags back in the field here tonight, starting in 24th. Behind them in 25th is Sean Billman, Vincent Valvano, Robert Tripp, and, Garrett, you're not starting. So 27 starters here tonight. Going to be a lot of fun. Great to see my good friend, at least kind of a good friend. It's been a long time since I did race with Chuck Sweeting, but great to see Chuck in the field here tonight. So we're going to be rolling off here momentarily up at the front of the field. Let's see if we can get the front of the field. Things are kind of backwards, but I don't know why things are backwards on my end, but we're about to get the green flag here for 40 laps, 100 miles for race number 1 of the doubleheader, and we are rolling, everyone getting up to speed for the start of this one. Garrett, looks like the number 16 machine right now at the front. Not sure why the timing and scoring hasn't quite figured things out, but it is Tom Bourne, the number 16, who leads the field off into turn number 1. And Garrett, not sure what's up with live timing and scoring. Well, hopefully it sorts itself out here once we get to the start-finish line, because it also says it's on lap number 2, and it's definitely not lap number 2, folks, but it does look like one of, I think that is the number 27 machine of, one of the Telliers there, Garrett.
Bronson Stafford, let's go. Let's say it's Bronson, right?
It's Bronson Stafford. There we go. That name rings a bell, and he's coming around to lead lap number 1.
Yeah, that top lane got a better start than the bottom. The third car in line was not as close to the second car as need be. And Peter, paint schemes are refreshing and it's blowing my mind now. But these guys have made it through a lap.
Yeah, I don't really think that's the right paint scheme on that number 27 machine. We'll see whether or not it stops. It might not. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But Bronson Stafford right now leading the way. Mike Floppy Tellier is in second. Then behind them, that's the number 77. The live timing and scoring still not updating. It also says it's on lap number 3. So chaos here with the live timing and scoring. Perhaps that is one of the changes I made earlier today. We'll have to see whether or not it sorts itself out. Hopefully it does. I think it finally did, Garrett. I think it finally sorted itself out. There we go. Whew. And unfortunately, Bronson Stafford's disappeared into the white void again, but they are side by side up at the front of the field. Stafford to the outside of Tom Bourne, who wants to take the race lead here. Did not get to lead from the start of the race. Gavin Fitzgerald and Ryan Potter towards the back of the field are currently our biggest movers of the race. Potter right there in the number 98, gaining 7 positions since the drop of the green flag in a hurry. Let's go on board with him. Good look inside his machine right here. You see all the bumps here, Garrett. We're running old version of Daytona. It's not smooth, it's bumpy, and that's why these drivers are giving themselves plenty of room here in the early running.
Peter, I took to the track earlier, and those bumps took me by surprise. It has been a long time since I raced this version of Daytona, and nothing can prepare you for hitting these bumps at 200 miles an hour in a pack, nose to tail. This is absolutely incredible, and if you want to experience the sim racing experience, get out here in this pack right now, and these guys are doing a great job here working 4 laps in.
Yeah, and you get a look out of the rear bumper. These drivers not bump drafting because it can lead to a whole lot of chaos. Checking out the 3-wide TV chat, we got Tristan Maher and Stephen Doziak Jr. joining in, Bob Giaquinto as well. Bob, one of our members of the channel here on YouTube. You can become a 3-wide TV pit crew member for just $1 a month, and you get a custom badge, and you get a couple of custom emotes. We lost monetization for a while from YouTube. Not sure why, but eventually it worked itself back. So, Bob, thank you for being a long-time supporter. I think he's now a gold member of the channel here, one of the few gold members. So, thank you very much, Bob, throwing a couple of those emotes in the chat right now. Bob, hopefully you're doing well here tonight. Usually it's kind of odd not being alongside Bob Giaquinto, Garrett, but nonetheless, I'm glad that you're here even though you eat all of our food.
I eat all your food, and I'm not as good as Bob in any of the aspects of this job, but we will have Bob for the majority of the season as our in-race reporter, and he will do a great job to keep us in line, kind of Larry Mack style, give us some stats and whatnot. But these guys, Peter, I'm surprised with how racy. I think the 6 week or so break we took as a league, it might have been even more than that, got these guys itching to get back out there. And so far, they're not disappointing. Only a few cars single file towards the back.
Yeah, lots of side-by-side. In fact, really impressive to see so much side-by-side action at this point of the race. Just looking up and down the field, Gavin Fitzgerald still one of our biggest movers, the number 14 Pontiac right there, racing behind the Dodge of Philip Scott. Great to see Philip Scott out here, one of the few Dodges, in fact, might be the only Dodge that we have in the field here tonight, running behind the number 28 machine in front of them. That is Jamar Dumas. Got that kind of Ricky Rudd, Ernie Irvin. In fact, it's kind of got more of an Ernie Irvin type vibe to that number 28 Ford right there. Great to see the Taurus back in racing. I wouldn't say I ever really thought the Taurus was a really sporty car, to be honest with you, Garrett. I didn't really put the Taurus in my book of racing vehicles, but that's what they ran, and that's what the number 28 machine is running right there. A good-looking ride for sure. Of course, up at the front of the field, though, it is a Ford Fusion, the number 16 of Tom Bourne here, coming around to lead lap number 7. 7 laps already in the books here. They're clicking them up, or clicking them off one at a time pretty quickly.
Peter, they're not wasting no time to get to the second half of the doubleheader. 8 crazy laps, side by side. And so far, Tom Bourne doing a great job with the lead, holding that bottom, which is not easy, as we talked about the bumps here. This would be where I would be on track, this high lane, just feeling things out. But these guys with the talent. And, hey, it's our buddy Vincent Valvano, who's a Criver. And there it is, number 64, Talking Giants machine. Vinny's one of those guys that I look forward to really getting some good runs in this car. And it's a plate race, and I think he's just biding his time here towards the back of the pack before he makes a run later.
Well, you know what they say, Garrett? Sometimes you go for the D and you get the C instead. I don't know who says that. But,
boy.
That's just what happens as the number 64 seems like maybe playing it a little bit safer than he was a lap ago. Seemed like he backed off from the front of the pack because the number 16 right there of Tom Bourne. Let's see now if maybe... Interesting. So down in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but then for whatever reason, it's showing up as the number 61 scheme, which probably is not accurate. Not 100% sure what's going on there, but that number 27, Bronson Stafford, leading the outside line. Let's talk about the car that's riding kind of on the inside. That is DJ Stagner. And again, that's a different number to what's on. I think all types of things are screwy with trading paints here tonight, Garrett, as DJ Stagner in the number 12 has 04 on the side. Not sure if you know if there's any backstory behind that one, Garrett, but first race of the year, you always have these types of kinks. They sort themselves out as we tend to go on through the season. And, we'll get everyone's paint schemes all figured out by the end of the season as well.
Well, we hope so, Peter, but we're not miracle workers. Some of these guys switch pretty often, and we're going to do our best. I have DJ on the league page as number 04. Jamar is always in the 28. We got that one situated. Jamar, don't change paint schemes the rest of the year. Let's make this easy on Peter and myself. But at the end of the day, Peter, these guys don't really care. I mean, I'm sure their sponsors and stuff care what they look like out there, but the goal is to win this race, and everyone so far is still in position to do that. And you can't say that all the time at races like Daytona.
Yeah, and look, you can actually see Lorello's car in this in the software. I mean, I'm assuming that's what Lorello's car looks like. It's at least the right number. So folks, just mentally do a brain swap between that white car and that brownish, goldish machine that you see down there in the bottom corner. Who knows? Meanwhile, the field is catching up to one driver who is kind of off the pace. Not sure what happened here to Jake Bustos, but Bridesmaid Bustos, as he's come to be known here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, he's about to go one lap down here in the early running, Garrett.
Yeah, that's a surprise. Jake, I was talking to Jake before the race. He was telling me that his teammates aren't planning on being back here. He was looking for some teammates out there, and if I remember correctly, Peter, from last season, Jake and his teammates would stay at the back of the pack for these restrictor plate races, and then work their way up just before pit stops. And I think maybe he dropped back thinking somebody would be back there to help him, and he didn't have the help he is so used to. So Jake's a fast race car driver and a good plate racer. I think these guys are going to be better off if they just pick him up and try to keep him in the fold, maybe get a lucky dog and get back in action.
Yeah, you see the whole field here now pretty much all together. Starting to see maybe a little bit of the back half of the main pack start to fall off a little bit. You see as they kind of get single file back here. Looks like Busto's still trying to get down to the bottom side of the racetrack. There's Robert Tripp leading a 3-car group. Robert there, Jonathan Gaston, and Chuck Sweeting. Now, I've raced with Chuck. I raced with Chuck quite a few seasons ago, and one heck of a race car driver. We did a league together, and he doesn't like these types of races. No, he likes the races where you can kind of control the race. Well, these super speedway races, Garrett, you just absolutely can't control the race. You could sometimes make your own luck, but sometimes in trying to make your own luck, you end up with no luck. So it's kind of like going to the casino, putting it all on black, and spinning the roulette wheel, and seeing how it falls out. That's super speedway racing for you. That's not really Chuck Sweeting's game, but nonetheless, I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of this number 75 at various races so far this season. Good to see another familiar face. As up at the front of the field, we haven't really seen a lot of lead changes here, Garrett. The front two have kind of yo-yoed back and forth. Tom Bourne in the number 16. Is he going to lead this lap? Well, hard to call, but I think he actually did over Bronson Stafford. Bronson's still getting the push from the real Canadian. Well, I mean, they're both Canadian, but the real Mike Floppy Tellier from Sarnia, Ontario, up there in that number 47 Toyota Camry. If I do believe, a bit interested, Garrett, that we didn't see an AJ Allmendinger Red Bull Toyota come out of Mike Tellier for this race. I think I don't know. I don't remember if Allmendinger raced the Gen 4 car or not. Or maybe it was the car of tomorrow, which is now the car of yesterday, thinking about the past. But nonetheless, that number 47 is one good-looking ride.
Yeah, it's a great-looking ride. Mike's now, we have a wreck, Peter. We have our first wreck of the season. Looks like Jamar Dumas was involved. I don't know who else, and that's why we'll go to our 3-wide TV replay. These guys, 25 laps to go, and that's what happens, Peter. This is plate racing. Doesn't look like too big of a one.
Yeah, it does not look like a big accident. That is the good news. Hopefully that is indeed true. Let's see if we can dial this one up. Here we go on the 3-wide TV replay. Oh, looks like a little bit of netco down into the number 63. I think that's Eric Kepf in that number 63. Also got a piece of it. Let's see if we can get maybe one more look of this one from well, let's go see if we can get a slightly different angle. There we go. Maybe just a bump gone wrong right there in the trial. Oh, I didn't catch that the first time, but Dumas hard into the inside wall. And that might be race 1 done for the number 20 of Dumas.
Yeah, Jamar looks like he definitely took the worst of that, Peter. Looks like the 63 is going to be able to carry on without too much damage there. I don't think he really hits anything. Great job. Whoa, that's a wheelman there in that Pontiac. Tough break for Jamar, but I think this is going to enable these guys to come down pit road, Peter, and be able to make it to the end. So I think we'll see a lot of guys pitting, even with 4 laps to go to our new this season rolling stage break. We're no longer throwing the yellow flag here in Total Non-Stop Racing League, and we will have 2 stage breaks for normal weeks. But since this is only a 40-lap race, we only have the 1 stage break tonight and 1 in the second race.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Go check out the 3-wide TV chat, folks. Let me know if you're having any issues in the chat here tonight. Want to thank you for tuning on in. Tristan Maher saying Trading Paints has been very finicky ever since the new season update in his experience. Bob Giaquinto says, I'm wondering where that catering budget went. We kind of had to kill the catering budget because if we pumped any more money into the catering budget, we'd eat all the food, and we just have to keep pumping money into it. So we kind of had to cut it. And Garrett's having to lose a couple a couple of calories. So we're pinching pennies here at 3 Wide TV. But yeah, caution flag number 1 out here tonight. Number 16 machine Tom Bourne goes into his box. I'm not sure who that was. That might have been. I think that might have been DJ Stagner, possibly, who had to back up into his pit box. Not sure. Looks like we got a couple of gamblers. Ryan Potter, one of those. Gavin Fitzgerald looks like he gambled on pit road, maybe only taking on fuel. Ryan Potter might have just taken 2 tires, but I think from Bronson Stafford on back, 4 tires and fuel was the choice. So Bronson Stafford first one off pit road with fresh tires, then Tom Bourne back behind him, then the real Mike Floppy Tellier, Matthew Rodriguez, who's Garrett at number 57. He's a good plate racer. We've seen him win quite a few plate races here on 3 Wide TV. Of course, back when the National Sim Racing Association had a plate series, I think he won like 4 races, which was really impressive. Almost 4 races in a row, if I recall. So that number 57 knows how to get the job done, and he has worked his way up into the 6th position here, and will be I believe, the 4th place driver on fresh tires for this upcoming restart.
Peter, we talk about it all the time. Matthew Rodriguez, I have so much respect for him. He's successful in everything he does, but you got to call it like it is. He is absolutely nuts when it comes to these restrictor plate races. You want to get to the front, or you want somebody to push you to the front, just dare him to do it, and he'll just do it just for the heck of it, Peter. And that's what I like about Matthew. He's here to win this race. He doesn't really care if he makes an enemy, but he's going to go for it, and he has a great looking number 57 Goose paint scheme. Peter, one thing though, did Jake Bustos get the lucky dog on that caution?
I would fathom that he did. Let's see. There's the number 74 right there on your screen. Just looking to see. It looks like he's still maybe a lap down. I don't know. We'll have to sort it out. No, it looks like he's on the lead lap. It's just live timing and scoring being everyone under pacing. That the live timing and scoring kind of behind. But nonetheless, the number 14 machine, Gavin Fitzgerald, is going to be our race leader for this upcoming restart because the pace car lights are off here, G.
Peter, what I'm looking for on this restart is you're around a different group of guys now. The front couple rows, they seem to just be safe and happy where they were. These differing pit strategies have these guys mixed up throughout the field. So you might be racing next to someone side by side at 200 miles an hour that you're not exactly comfortable with, whether it be just from not being around them or from a past incident that you had. So I'm going to keep my eye on this, see if it gets a little more wild as guys kind of shuffle themselves throughout the field to get their teammates and guys they're familiar running with.
Yeah, and of course we saw, we usually don't talk about this on a super speedway, Garrett, but track position was important in that first run until we had the first caution here tonight. Being up at the front seemed to be the place to be. You were able to stay there. You were able to get help from cars behind you. But now you have to think about, we saw Bronson Stafford and Mike Floppy Tellier. We know they work well together. They're a couple of Canadians. They're buddies. They're both the same name here tonight. They're that buddy. But now they are kind of shuffled around. You've got the real Mike Floppy Tellier on the inside here. Bronson Stafford's still right in front of him, but then Matthew Rodriguez is now kind of in the mix. We saw DJ Stagner make a little bit of a mistake by missing his pit stall, sliding a little bit long, having to throw it in reverse. He lost a little bit of track position. We'll see what Gavin Fitzgerald and Ryan Potter, our new front row, can do here as we go back green flag, closing in on the halfway mark in the first doubleheader here tonight, brought to you by our good friends over at Stay Tuned Sports. Make sure to check out Stay Tuned Sports podcast. There's you can get there, just Google them and listen to them. Of course, a lot of their stuff is kind of geared towards Philadelphia and the Philadelphia region, but they have hot takes on a lot of sports, so make sure you listen to them. Meanwhile, green flag back out in the air, the field rolling well. It is currently Ryan Potter with a big push down the backstretch from that outside line. Tom Bourne is really trying to get that outside line cleared. Be interesting to see, Garrett, whether that number 16, whether or not he would be able to clear that number 14, and whether or not he'd jump back down to that inside line. But that inside line coming pretty good, digging through turn number 3 and 4.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a bump draft there for Bronson Stafford to our leader in the 14, Fitzgerald, and it was just right. I mean, that's what you can do if you're a good plate racer and able to trust the guy in front of you. And so far, it's working out for that bomb lane. But you're right, Peter. Will Tom Bourne try to get back to either the head of that top lane so he can get down, or just work his way to the bottom? That's something I think to keep an eye on because he was so comfortable down there on that initial run.
Meanwhile, that inside line looking strong out of turn number 2. Again, Gavin Fitzgerald coming down the backstretch with a full head of steam. Then you got Stafford and Tellier behind him. I'm just curious to know maybe if those number 27 and 47 would be able to clear the number 98 on the outside, whether or not they'd like to jump up together to the high side to try and take away the lead, as we have made it into the second half of tonight's race.
Stage
50
break.
miles down, and yeah, stage break there, Garrett.
We're going to award some points for the top 10. Top 8 for that stage. So those guys who were able to shuffle themselves up into the top 8 positions, we're going to get some bonus points. They'll help them if they decide to run the full season. But now they're getting crazy, Peter. I see some 3-wide action here on 3-wide TV.
Yeah, that number 98 got ejected to the high side. Ryan Potter dropping like a stone all the way back outside the top 16, and he'll continue to lose positions now, falling into the clutches of the number 18 right there of Jimbo Casterline and Chuck Sweeting in the number 75. He's just kind of sizing up this mess in front of him, watching to see exactly what they do, but it is still Gavin Fitzgerald up at the front of the field, gambling with the no tire call. Garrett, this racetrack's very bumpy. This is the one version of Daytona where tires do actually matter a little bit more than they do at the other version. We'll just put it that way, because it is so bumpy, it is so slick. Track temperature currently, let's see if we can bring up the graphic right inside of your screen. Track temperature is sitting at 86 Fahrenheit. It's not too warm, actually. That's going to help out Gavin Fitzgerald that the track temperature's only at 86 degrees Fahrenheit. If it was hotter, looking at 100, 110 degrees, it might be a little bit slicker, but that will help the number 14 keep those tires in check as he continues to lead the way here. Now down to 17 more to go.
Yeah, so far so good. Track position over new tires seems to be working out for Gavin and the number 14 machine. But if I was one of these guys towards the back of the field, I think they're calling themselves Backmarkers United now, the Doe's crew, I might have saved my set of tires just in the event that I have to make a run from the back of the field, maybe with a caution, 5 to go or something. Just roll the dice because, like you said, this place does eat up tires to the point where they could come in handy. And it looks like we have Robert Tripp here off the pace.
Yeah, that is Robert Tripp in the number 35, who has lost the draft. We saw that with Jake Bustos a little while ago. He will now have to wait for either a caution or the field to come up behind him to lap him as the field continues to click off lap. 16 laps to go. It is still Gavin Fitzgerald and Tom Bourne, our front two, side by side for the race lead. Everyone here not getting too crazy. Garrett, we've seen 3 wide really just once here tonight. It's been pretty calm. We saw a little bit of a bump draft gone wrong, but here we go. As I say that, Bronson Stafford to the middle in the number 27, the white machine right there. Mike Floppy Tellier in the 47 pushing him up to the front. Now we get a little bit of 3 wide action in the corner. It's a little bit dicey. Matt Muir in the number 77 right there in the middle. They almost make contact out of the corner, and the number 14 on those older tires got a little bit loose as they almost had a big accident there. They're trying to stave off the big one till late in the race. Now the number 14 can get a little bit of help and kind of recollect himself. There's the contact. Moyer upside down in turn number 1 and 2, and we got more cars wrecking in front of him. The number 96 and the number 63. Holy smokes, Matt Muir continues to slide on his roof, now flipping over. And the number 06 right there is Sean Billman coming in really late. But Garrett up and over. My, oh my, that can happen here at Daytona.
Wow, Peter. I was so ready for you to get out of that segment and just say to you, Peter, that's what we need for the highlight reel here on 3Y TV, because those guys were doing a tremendous job bouncing around on these bumps. But you see what happens. The slightest thing goes wrong, and then you're just along for the ride. Somebody else's problem becomes your problem, even if you're deeper in the field. So let's take a look at this. I'll handle the first bit here since I'm talking midstream here. And it looks like we have 14's drifting up a little bit sideways. Not going to really have anything to do with this, right? It's going to be somewhere in the 77. Oh, 77 and 16. Just, yep, no room there, not clear up. And here comes the chaos, Peter.
Yeah, and that is a shame because that is Tom Bourne, our pole sitter. Meanwhile, in front of him, looks like Matthew Rodriguez got involved in an accident. Look at that. The number 16 just pushing the number 77 through all of that madness. Let's see if we can see what happened here to Matthew Rodriguez as well. Let's get another look. Here we go. See that number 57 comes down right into the number 81. And then there's contact back behind him. Rodriguez getting involved. I mean, we're going to have to get a ride on board with the number 16 here because that was impressive. Let's see if we can get one more.
Give me that gyro cam, Peter.
Yeah, we're going to get the gyro cam. That's for certain. Let's see. Here we go. Number 16. I have to dial it up. Tom Bourne on board. Let's see what happened here. Going off into turn number 1. There's the contact, and there's the number 77. I think, you know what? I think Tom Bourne here is just trying to say, hello, buddy. How are you? And they're having a nice little like one-to-one chat. They might have had a little bit of a wave. But unfortunately for the number 16, our pole sitter here tonight, that is quite a bit of damage. And we'll see exactly who all came down pit road. There's the number 06 of Sean Billman, who got a piece of it right there at the end. He's coming into his pit box. Matt Muir somehow still running with a blown motor. He's coming down pit road. James Orello was the white car involved in that accident. There you see him on pit road. That's a tough break for Lorello. It seems like Lorello always gets tied up in these accidents. There's Matthew Rodriguez on pit road, Matt Muir on pit road, and Brandon Buchwald in the number 96 involved, the number 16 of Tom Bourne, our pole sitter, involved. But the good news for them, Garrett, is the fact that we get to re-rack them. We get to do it all over again. Ty Smith, the only other driver involved in this accident. But we do get to re-rack them in 13 laps. We go to the newer version of Daytona, and they get to go for a win here again in doubleheader number 2 tonight.
Yeah, Peter, you get to try again, and maybe you try a little bit different strategy. Maybe the cautions come out at different times, and you could keep the track position. But especially a tough break for Tom Bourne. He was so good early on in that first run, and then just to get caught up in that. But Peter, I think if the 77 and the 16, that incident could have been just isolated to those two. I think the guys behind it were going to miss it. It was just the Matt Rodriguez stuff ahead of him that ended up making that into what we would call the big one. But with their loss as a gain for some of these guys that were hanging out towards the back of the pack, our good buddy Doze, Philip Scott, Vincent Falvano, Jimbo, like these guys who don't normally think, I have a shot in the beginning. When the field thins out, that's when these guys, it's their time to shine.
Yeah, and of course, for some of those drivers that we just saw involved in that accident, they'll be very happy because they did get a couple of bonus points there in the stage break or the stage end. I'm not going to call it a stage break because we don't really break. It's a rolling stage here in the Total Nonstop Racing Cup. But they did pick up some points. That's the good news. The bad news is their night for doubleheader number 1 here is finished. And of course, want to give a big shout out to Jimbo. Let's see if we can go check out Jimbo and the number 18 machine. There you see him in the black and green race car on your screen. Jimbo currently just outside the top 10 in the 11th position. So Jimbo has pretty good race going for him here. And of course, it is a Stay Tuned Sports doubleheader here tonight. And like I said, if you want to listen to Stay Tuned Sports, go check them out. Jimbo is on the mic for the Stay Tuned Sports podcast and is a big supporter of the Total Nonstop Racing League. So cool to see that. Cool to see him in the field and cool to see him doing well here at Daytona International Speedway. Field forming back up, though. We'll have another restart coming here in just a moment as the iRacing pace car lights have stopped twinkling. Just checking on some of the stragglers in the field. Might have been involved in that accident. Looks like we got the number 63 of Eric Kepf just rolling out there on the racetrack. Will Ratcliffe is currently being scored 1 lap down. Not sure what happened to the number 95. Maybe just an extended stay on pit road to get some damage repaired. Tom Bourne in the number 16, he looks definitely worse for wear. Robert Tripp will be happy that he's able to use this caution flag to catch back up to the front of the field. But it is Bronson Stafford waiting for the green flag. The iRacing.com pace car heads onto pit road. There'll be 11 laps to go here for race number 1 of the TNR Cup Series, and Bronson Stafford with a good jump. He's going to pull out ahead, but Garrett, did he pull too far out ahead? As he's got a massive jump on the field. Everyone really spread out here. Now we have to see whether or not they can form up. Stafford going to try and play the lane game here. Going to try and pick up his buddy, Mike Floppy Tellier, the couple of Canadians forming up on the outside, but there's a couple of drivers on the inside. That is Jonathan Gaston in the number 72. Now the second white car up at the front of the field. So he's going to try and push the 04 to the race lead. DJ Stagner coming to the lead. He's been kind of in the top 5 all night long, Garrett, but we might see the 12 lead for the first time tonight, or the 04 rather.
Yeah, the 04, the 12, whatever. We got 2 floppies. We'll figure it out after the race, Peter. But at first, on that start, like you said, I thought he got out too far ahead. But he jumped up there, got his teammate / his namesake in the other floppy mobile. And I really thought that bottom lane, the way they were looking, was going to be able to make short work of them. But the top lane is formed. I see Ninja Phil's up there in the mix. And these guys, they know it's coming to the pay window here. 10 laps to go. Now is your time, and I feel bad for anyone that had to start behind damaged vehicles on the track. There's nothing more frustrating at a plate race after the big one, going down pit road and then getting stuck behind somebody that can't go up to speed and cost yourself a chance at the win. Been there.
Yeah, definitely. That unfortunately does happen. We'll see if we can bring up the track map, and you can see the field is very broken up now with a couple of those damaged cars still out there kind of leading a second and third pack. Meanwhile, up the front of the field, Garrett, things starting to get a little bit racy. Look at this to the outside now of Philip Scott. That's the number 14 machine, Gavin Fitzgerald. We saw him lead a good number of laps as he has to check up, almost getting into the back bumper of Ryan Potter, who turned around the number 28 machine just a little while ago, just before the halfway mark. But that number 14 starting to get really racy. Philip Scott's going to have to duck back in line. He drops back down to 9th. But it's still Bronson Stafford leading the way in that outside line. How long do we think it will be until those two get broken up, the 27 and the 47?
That would be my strategy, Peter. I would be out there trying to break those two up, even if it required me just making a little bit of a move and scaring them a little bit up into that third lane, hopefully breaking their momentum and being able to get a car in between. But you're out there, you've run 30-plus laps. You've seen your competition. You know you can't let these two guys be bumper to bumper out there, especially because their names are the same in the server. Like, a bell should be ringing in your head. These guys are going to work together. They're teammates, and I think that's very important for the rest of these guys to kind of gang up on those two. And not that I'm rooting against those two. I like those two guys, but just saying, if I was out there, I'd be making a strategy with somebody, even if it's not a teammate. Hey, let's go get those two guys separated. So we'll see if the 04 here on the bottom and the 72 has anything for them, and if one of them will slide up in front of them and try to dictate the control of that lane.
Hey, Garrett, I do have a little bit of a research project for you if you're in the server. I'm not sure if something happened to Jimbo Casterline or whether or not it was just a disconnect connection issue, but Jimbo Casterline has fallen off of the lead lap. Not exactly sure what happened there. I was just looking over at my live timing and scoring and saw him tumbling down the running order. So that's a tough break for Jimbo if it was a connection problem. The one time you don't want a connection problem is inside 10 laps to go when you know you cannot get those positions back at all. We'll see whether or not he's able to get back out there. But, of course, there is race number 2 right after this. Stay tuned, Sports Doubleheader number 2 coming up for everyone at home. We'll have to kind of go on pause here on 3 Wide TV momentarily while we get all situated for race number 2. But it is still Bronson Stafford, Mike Tellier leading the high line on the inside. It is still the 04 machine, DJ Stagner and Jonathan Gaston. But now look at this player starting to maybe work his way into the mix. That's Ryan Potter, who has gained 16 positions since the drop of the green flag. We were highlighting earlier in the show that he was the biggest mover at that point. Well, he has continued to march his way up to the front. As you see the Boeing 737 there in the background, there is an international airport right alongside Daytona International Speedway. So don't be surprised if you see an airplane flying around the sky. Meanwhile, the field is catching up to a slower car. Let's see if we can figure out who that would be. That'd be the number 13 machine of James Lorello. So we'll see how Lorello lets them on by. You see the number 14 now trying to go 3 wide, trying to pay a favor back on the number 98, because that number 14, Garrett, a lap ago was put 3 wide by the number 98. We almost thought about 4 wide. There's contact, and that is Jonathan Gaston, who makes a wicked save, but there's contact. Tellier in the wall. The number 47 comes down the racetrack. There's more contact. They're still beating and banging here at Daytona. It looks like short track. It looks like Martinsville, as we got one car off the racetrack. I think that is finally the number 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald. Now he comes back up on the racetrack. Holy smokes, they're able to keep it green flag, but that is shaking things up at the front of the field. Is now this Stagner, who is our race leader, coming to 5 laps to make it 4 laps to go this time by. As here comes Bronson Stafford back, looking for the race leader. Look at Chuck Sweeting. He's up there in the mix now. Holy smokes.
Peter, look who's running in 5th. Our old buddy, Austin Grover, the Wags man. He's back in action. His wife's letting him race tonight. He's up to P5, and you can hear the excitement in my voice. That was absolutely incredible. Bad luck for a bunch of those guys, but look at how this changed the field. Jake Bustos was a lap down, 10th position. Vincent Valvano in the top 10. This is your lucky break. Keep this thing green, and you're going to get yourself a good finish. And some of these guys who are running towards the back, I think they're going to gang up. They know who their friends are, so let's keep an eye on this. And before that happened, Peter, Philip Scott, who is one of the most aggressive drivers out there, backed off because I think he knew this was coming.
Coming to 3 laps to go, DJ Stagner with help from Ryan Potter. It got chaotic in a hurry here at Daytona. You could hear the bell ringing as the lap count continues to wind down here. It is go time. It is time to go for the win. You want to win your first race of the season. Absolutely. You want to be out of this one as the points leader. It sets you up all season long. Now, it's not easy to back it up. If you finish well at Daytona, it's difficult to back it up throughout the season, but it definitely bodes a lot of confidence. Wags now sitting at the 3rd car on the inside line. 3rd car on the outside line, that is Jonathan Gaston, who, Garrett, I have to say, pulled off one of the most spectacular saves. These cars are not easy to save. They're going 200 miles an hour, and he was tank slapping that thing and kind of slapped it the right way, and was able to keep all 4 tires underneath him, and he's back up battling for the race lead, just waiting to see who's going to make a dive for the race lead. Now, I know Chuck Sweeting, he's probably really happy where he's at right now. He doesn't have to win at Daytona. He might want to win here at Daytona, but that driver right there, he's looking at other races on the schedule. I kind of don't think Chuck's going to do anything too crazy here. I would be surprised if Chuck honestly goes for the win. So I kind of like where Bronson Stafford sits. He's the first white car as we come to the white flag this time by one of the slower cars there. I think that's kept off the racetrack as they are side drafting one another. White flag in the air for the first Stay Tuned Sports doubleheader here at Daytona.
Peter, I didn't pay for a ticket, but I think I would have to watch this action. And like you said, Chuck Sweeting has snuck his way up into the 3rd position. And you're right, I don't expect any crazy moves out of him, but some of these other guys, you're thinking this is a great chance to win. I'm going for it. Somebody's going to pull off the kamikaze move here, Peter, and they're going to race back to the line probably with a bunch of wadded up race cars. But let's hope for a side-by-side green flag finish.
Yeah, no real bump drafting going on. There's contact. Chuck Sweeting in the wall, up and over, and he's going to get things saved. But here comes, looks like Bronson Stafford. Here comes Wags. Wags tried to make a stab at it, not able to do it. Stafford wins. Looks like the number 99 sliding through the infield. I thought Wags was going to have a shot at it, but Austin Grover going to come home in, at least it said 2nd, but I think he finished 3rd. Live timing and scoring might be a little bit off there. Let's see, though, if we can figure out what all went down on the final lap. What caused the big accident in turn number 3 and 4. Let's quickly get a 3 wide TV replay here, and then we'll go back live for, I'm sure, a little bit of poster. Oh, well, that doesn't really help, does it? That was right in the middle, mixed of the chaos. Let's go back a little bit further and see if we can break down what happened. There was definitely a lot of side drafting going on. Let's kind of, Well, let's rewind here. Well, no, we don't often do this here on 3 Wide TV, but it might have been just a little bit of net code. 98 coming down the racetrack, gets into the right rear quarter panel of Chuck Sweeting. Unfortunately, the 04 machine, who definitely had a shot here at the end. Yeah, definitely a tough break. All right, well, the number 27 machine, one of the Mike Floppy Telliers, is the race winner. Right there on. Well, how did that happen? Now we can see the number 61 here of Bronson Stafford. Not sure exactly how, what, or why, but it's showing up now as the number 61 Ford Fusion. No idea, but Bronson Stafford going to burn it down here at Daytona International Speedway. Tonight's winner of doubleheader number 1.
That was a tremendous battle to the finish, and great job by Bronson Stafford, a.k.a. Mike number 2. I really thought, though, Wags had a shot at that coming to the checkered flag as well, Peter. And wow, what a race. Some of these guys are so thrilled with the way they finished, and the rest of these guys can't wait for race number 2. But speaking of race number 2, Peter, I'm going to get the service of that real quick.
Yeah, well, we're going to get a quick word from our top 3 finishers as well in race number 1. So we'll let Garrett focus on what he needs to do there as I kind of figure out what I need to do. So that's going to be fun to get everyone down here into the interview waiting room that we need to talk to. I think I just need to find Bronson Stafford. Where's Bronson Stafford? I know he's in here somewhere. There he is. I'll get him over there. So let's quickly bring up the final race results for everyone, because you'll see here, well, it is Austin Grover coming home in second. I thought maybe live timing and scoring was not quite right, but Grover does finish second by just 63 thousandths of a second, 7 thousandths of a second behind, or ahead rather, of Jonathan Gaston. So let's get a quick word with tonight's third place finisher, Jonathan. Peter Short, 3 Wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Sure do.
Well, it was all chaos right there at the end of the race, and well, I have to say that's Daytona for you. And you got another dose of it here coming up. What were your thoughts of race number 1?
I really enjoyed it. I tell you what, I must have a lucky charm in my car or something, because I dodged every wreck out there and parted the Red Sea on that big one and just came right up through there.
Well, hopefully you have that rabbit's foot and you can keep it for race number 2 or something like that, because we do have another race here coming up. It's on the smoother version of Daytona, not quite so bumpy. What are your thoughts of the second race here coming up?
I'm glad it's on the smoother track. That track right there is a handful. You really have to drive this car. This car is a lot of fun, and handling definitely comes into play with it, that's for sure. So I'm looking forward to get a little bit smoother track, maybe turn up the force feedback a little bit and get after it.
All right, well, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Hall Drilling, Tom's Tire, Precision Design, and my wife for letting me hop on here and do this.
All right, well, good luck in race number 2 coming up right here in a minute, Jonathan.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we'll let him get all suited back up for race number 2 here in just a moment. Time to get a quick word with someone who's been around the TNR fold for quite some time. And, well, Austin, I got to say, I bet you're very happy with the misses right now, because they'll let you race, and you're in second place right now. How about that?
Yeah, I gotta say I'm thrilled. I definitely didn't expect that with how the race started. I got in the wall going high off a 2, I think, and fell way back. I was close to losing a lap there, and wound up getting a lucky break with a caution, and wound up getting another lucky break with a bunch of guys getting together and me seeing my way through it.
Well, it looked right there that you might have had a crack at getting the win, coming to the checkered flag, but it just wasn't quite to be. You had a car to your outside, but you did try. Kind of talk us through the difficulties of this particular Daytona.
Oh, I mean, it's about the same as any Daytona for me. I come so close and just about win it and wind up finishing like second, third all the time. But in terms of with this package that we've got, it's a lot of horsepower. The bumps just kind of throw you every which way, especially at the 2008 Daytona. It's a bumpy track, and you're just battling the wheel the entire time. But yeah, I'm impressed with how everyone raced. I've had a great time. Upset that I won't be able to run the full season because I love this package. But overall, I'm going to love watching the races that I don't get to run here on 3-Wide TV and spending time with my daughter while hopefully we watch them.
Absolutely. Well, Austin, anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just big shout out to everyone watching. Happy early 4th of July. Hopefully I'll be here talking to everyone in about an hour after the next race.
All right. Well, we'll let you go suit up for race number 2. Congratulations on your runner-up, and hope to see you around this season a couple of times, Wags. And, and until we see you back up here in the booth, maybe you'll be here in a little bit. Hang in there, bud.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, well, that was it for tonight's runner-up in race number 1. Let's go down to Victory Lane where Bronson Stafford is. I'm not sure if we're giving you the points, Bronson, or whether or not they're going to Mike Floppy Tellier or not, but hey, congratulations, you're in Victory Lane nonetheless.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
It looked like track position was pretty important here tonight, but you and Mike worked together well. Kind of talk us through that partnership in the final few laps.
Yeah, I mean, the whole team worked really good. It was me, Mike, and Tom up front for the whole start of the race, and then until the caution, pretty much, with the 14, I think it was, they got caught up with. But track position was really, really important. The cars, I think just to the older Daytona, it's hard to run a third lane, so it was just kind of gridlocked, and we were stuck basically like highway traffic. And then, yeah, once losing Mike, the last couple laps was just trying to, I guess, get the help from Chuck, and we got it like at the perfect time on the last lap to clear just before the wreck and not get caught up in it, kind of thing. And yeah, it all went well.
Yeah, a win here to start the season, but you do have race number 2 lined up ahead of you. Anything you think that's going to be different about race number 2?
I hear it's at New Daytona, so like the repave, so there possibly could be a third lane. And I'm also hearing my number and name will be fixed. I'm not also going to be Mike.
Well, that means you don't get to give your points to Mike for race number 2. So I'm sure Mike will be bummed about that. But nonetheless, it'll be nice to see you on the scoring pylon as Bronson Stafford. But congratulations on the win. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
The whole team, the whole Sky Motorsports team. We had a lot of speed. We qualified 1, 2, and like 4, 6th and stuff, and just we ran a good race. And obviously for everyone putting TNR on, I'm not sure. I think it's Garrett and Mike mostly do the things over here, but this league's fun. I only run here so much, and with the new car and everything now with this the Gen 4 Cup, I was like, yeah, I'll actually run it. So excited for the season, and obviously you guys coming on board and broadcasting.
Absolutely. Going to be a lot of fun all season long. Hope to see you for most of the races this season here in the TNR Cup Series, brought to you by Schue's Lawn Care Service. But Bronson, congratulations on winning race number 1. We'll see you here shortly.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Well, we'll let him get kind of back to the mix. Let's see if we can go through the final finishing results of race number 1. Mike Floppy Tellier, well, not really. But Bronson says, trip me up again. Bronson Stafford taking home the win. Austin Grover, we call him Wags, finishing in second. Jonathan Gaston, and then Philip Scott. Steven Doziak Jr. coming home in 5th. How about that? The 55 finishing in 5th. Vinny Valvano, good run for him in the Talkin' Giants machine, finishing just outside the top 5. Chuck Sweeting in 7th after being involved in that accident. Carl Faust in 8th. Sean Pillman, good recovery for the 06 after he was involved in an early race accident. Mike Floppy Tellier, the real one this time, finishing in 10th. Ryan Potter in the number 98. He dropped well back there at the end. Jake Bustos, who was a lap down at one point, finishing in 12th. Jason Schue in 13th in the number 3 machine. DJ Stagner in 14th. Gavin Fitzgerald 15th. Robert Tripp, Tom Bourne, and Matthew Rodriguez round out our top 18. Then looking a little bit further back, Brandon Bookwald in the number 96 in 19th. Jamar Dumas in 20th. James Arello, who was involved in a big accident with a couple of these. Eric Kepf in the 63, finishing 22nd. Jimbo Casterline, I think, had a disconnect there late. Maybe his internet dropped out, not sure. Will Ratcliffe, Matt Weir, Ty Smith, the final few drivers in race number 1. Ethan Gregory and Garrett alongside me both did not start here tonight. So that's race number 1. Garrett, I'm just kind of looking on my side. Is race number 2 set up yet?
It absolutely should be, Peter. If it hasn't launched, it should launch. We're going to be at, obviously, like you said, the non-bumpy version of Daytona at nighttime, and these guys will be starting in the reverse finishing order of this race. So if you had a rough race number 1, you got an opportunity to start up front and stay up front.
All right. Well, let me kind of get over to the news session and kind of fire that up, and once we get that fired up, we'll be back here and able to kind of watch it. Not sure what the status of the racetrack is right now, Garrett. What's going on there, I guess, in the news session?
I wouldn't know, Peter. I'm not in there currently, so we'll just wait to get there. We'll talk about when we get there. Maybe we could do some interviews to kill some time or something.
I mean, the race could be all over for all we know. I mean, it'd be hard to run 40 laps of Daytona, but we don't know. We're not in the session, so looks like my iRacing is firing back up. So just hold on to your hats, folks. It is race number 2 upcoming, brought to you by, of course, Stay Tuned Sports. Garrett, got a couple of new sponsors this season here in the Total Nonstop Racing Cup, and why don't you give a plug for those sponsors here while we have this little quick break?
Yeah, Peter, thanks for the time. Our main sponsor, our series sponsor, is Jason Schue. He has his lawn care business, and he's supported us for multiple seasons in a row now. Jason's a great guy, and he races these cars in real life. Jason Schue Racing. Please go give him a like on Facebook. Support his career. He is so good to us as far as a league sponsor goes, and I have to root for him every week. I know he likes to stay out of trouble, stay towards the back, but he's just a real likable guy, and we couldn't do this without him. I mean, he pretty much handles most of the broadcast fee by himself. So, Jason, I appreciate you so much, man. We have Stephen Morgan, our good friend, who's getting married next week. So maybe it's time to either talk him out of it or talk him into it. I'm not really sure, but his family business, Dene Jewelers, a local business here in Wilkes-Barre, stepped up to sponsor. We have Jimbo, Stay Tuned Sports. We talked about Jimbo in the first race. Jimbo is such a huge supporter of iRacing, sim racing. We could not, as Total Nonstop Racing and NSRA that he's in charge of now, we couldn't really do it without his support. He's tremendous, and he's one of those guys that he started from the beginning on iRacing, and he just keeps getting progressively better and better, and it's nice to just see him out there racing and having fun. I know we have Talking Giants up on our ticker. I worked out something that they would be on Vinny's car. I love their podcast. They're tremendous guys, Bobby and Justin. Give them a like. John Boy Media, especially with football season coming up now. Peter, we have an Eagles podcast with Jimbo. We have the Talking Giants guys here. If anybody cared about the Cowboys, we'd probably get a Cowboys podcast on here. But just go back to Bob, the Tabletop Trio guys, and they're a huge supporter. I think we're still doing the Lucky Dog for them. I look forward to having Bob next week. And just everybody that does paint schemes, whether it's Bill Edwards with his Fatal Concepts, Chris Darling, Max Graphics, Johnny Williams doing his stuff, and I miss having Johnny out here tonight. And it's every single person, whether you race, you watch us here on 3Y TV, you support us in some way or another, whether you sponsor a race or you just talk in the chat or anything. We appreciate that so much, and that's what enables us to be here on 3Y TV and put on this good racing. And looks like we have most of the paint schemes ready for the second race, Peter. And I hope I talked long enough for you, but
Yeah, you definitely did. We're going to be keeping our eyes on a couple of the paint schemes that at least didn't work for race number 1. And of course, it's a night race. So some of these drivers, Garrett, will have kind of, I think, their night race scheme, but perhaps if they have that set up in trading paints where they can have a different scheme for day and night races. So some of that might be happening. There is still, unfortunately, James Lorello's scheme, which might still be struggling. We'll see whether or not that is true. If I was to gander, it almost looks like there's a DuPont logo on that their race car. Not sure if that's the case. He's in the inside wall. He's probably scraping off some white paint. Ouch. That is the number 28 machine who, just got, nailed into the outside wall. Trying to see where the number 28 machine is here on my chart. Where is that number 20? There he is. Let's see exactly what happened right there, Garrett. That looked nasty.
Jamar, get the wrecks out of your system now in practice because we don't want you to get wrecked during the race. You have some horrible luck, my friend, and we wanted to get over with. But looking at these guys, 3 cars on the bottom, 1 car up top. And what the heck is going on here? Well, that's just, I hope that's just a practice wreck, guys, messing around a little bit, because that's pretty bad luck if you're in the 28.
Yeah, that looked, like I said, quite nasty. It looks like Dumas is rolling back out there onto the racetrack right now. Robert Tripp in the number 35, currently fastest here in this warm-up session. Garrett, do you know if we're are we planning on running this entire warm-up session, or we're just kind of waiting for folks to work their way into the session or not?
10 minutes, we're probably going to advance this. Mike just gave everyone the 2-minute warning in the general discussion here on the Discord, so I believe at about 10 minutes we will go right into the grid for the race.
I think you mean in 2 minutes.
Yes, I'm sorry. In 2 minutes at the 10-minute mark, we will go into the grid for the race.
Okay. Well, we're all on the same page. I mean, maybe we're not, but I'm on the same page, at least as you. Go checking out the chat. Jimbo giving us a little bit of finding out what happened in race number 1, at least giving his side of the story. Said that the screen froze, then took back to iRacing main screen. Sucks he was making his way back up. And usually that happens, Jimbo, as a disconnect. Garrett, I don't know if you were able to see whether or not that was a kind of whether or not he fell through the iRacing server or not. But that's a tough break because he was having such a good run. But hopefully we'll see Jimbo back out there. There's the number 18 machine in his pit box right now. You see everyone around the racetrack. That's a beautiful look of Daytona International Speedway. And you can see race cars on the back stretch. You can see them racing off towards turn number 1 there on the right-hand side of your screen. It really is a amazing racetrack. Let's see if we can pick up with some of these drivers. There's the number 16 machine just flashed by, sporting a new look in race number 2. Maybe he thought, you know what, there goes the number 81 machine, also sporting a new look. I think running his nighttime scheme, kind of running instead of the orange Bass Pro machine, running kind of a silver one. So going to be a couple of different schemes in this race, Garrett, that we'll have to keep our eyes on. But nonetheless, look at Tellier slicing and dicing his way. Whoa, man. Kind of juked the number 98 machine out of his shoes there. It looked like the number 98 thought that Tellier was going to be wrecking, but Ryan Potter in that number 98, backed off of it a little bit. Now, ouch! I think that's... They just got the warning, Garrett, that it's time to go racing, and you know what? Just throw it up in the fence.
Hey, it's good to get a simulated wreck out of your system, that's for sure, because you don't want to be upside down facing the wrong direction and adding to our car count on the roof. Looks like this will be a full pace lap too, so hopefully these guys will get all gridded up, and I didn't screw up when I was putting any of the reverse inputs in their custom grid. But Peter, if there's a mistake made, you know who to blame.
Yep, it's you. I will blame you if if something like that does happen, but we do have drivers that are populating out there on the racetrack. So like you said, Garrett, it is reverse order from race number 1. So let's see what that entails for race number 2 for our starting lineup. Coming up here on the screen, Ty Smith in the number 81 will be starting up at the front. Matt Muir will be starting alongside him. Will Ratcliffe, Jimbo Casterline in 3rd and 4th. Eric Kepf in 5th. James Morello in the 6th position. Jamar Dumas and Brandon Buchwald in 7th and 8th. Matthew Rodriguez and Tom Bourne, the pole sitter of race number 1, rounding out our top 10 there, G.
Yeah, here's the top 10 starters or the bottom 10 of our last race. So these guys will maybe look forward to the track position. Robert Tripp rolls off in 11th. Gavin Fitzgerald to his outside in 12th. On page 2, we have I believe that's Stagner in the number 12. Jason Schue, our series sponsor, to his outside. Jake Bustos will start 15th. Mike Floppy Tellier to his outside in 16th. Ryan Potter rolls off 17th. Sean Billman to his outside in the 06 in 18th. Carl Faust and Chuck Sweeting with some tough luck there at the end, but still a good finish. Rounds our top 20.
Then rounding out our field, 21st, Vincent Valvano, Steven Oziak Jr., 22nd, Philip Scott, Jonathan Gaston, 23rd and 24th, and Austin Grover. And Bronson Stafford, how about that? Bronson Stafford out there on the racetrack for race number 2. Of course, he was our winner in race number 1, but actually showing up as his real name. But hopefully well, you know what? I probably should have looked into this, huh? See if maybe stave off that issue we had at the beginning of the first race with the lap count not working out correctly. So I'm just kind of looking at that on my end to see if maybe there's something I can do. In fact, the nice thing, Garrett, is when you fiddle with a setting and then you're quickly trying to find that setting that you changed. And I'm looking up and down here. I can't find it. I can't find the setting that I changed.
Well, Peter, nobody's perfect. I always thought that of all my friends, you would be the one that would be closest to perfect. But after working with you for a while, I've realized how wrong I was. Yep,
I'm not perfect, that's for sure. There's a little thing on here that says what the pace lap number should be. Folks, it's kind of weird. And I put 0, and I think I shouldn't have done that, but I can't find it. So hopefully live timing and scoring is right here. It definitely seems more right than it was in the last one. For what that's worth. So, nonetheless, iRacing.com pace car about to head down onto pit road. The green flag is in the flagman's hand. We're going racing once again here at Daytona International Speedway for race number 2 here, brought to you by Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. And it is the number 81 of Ty Smith trying to lead the field off towards turn number 1. That outside line is strong. That is Matt Muir and James Lorello. Lorello still in one of those white machines, and they're going to drop down to the bottom side. Garrett, already a lead change here as the 81 just not able to get formed up with the inside line behind him. That's Brandon Buchwald the Buchwald was on the outside line. That is Will Ratcliffe, I believe, who is now forming up behind the number 81. Now having a little bit of connection issues. It was blinking in and out. Not sure where that car is. Hopefully Will Ratcliffe can come back onto the racetrack here and not cause an accident. Not sure, maybe falling out completely. Jamar Dumas now down below the yellow line. Looks like he's going to get back up here onto the racetrack. Kind of a different feel to race number 2 than what we saw in race number 1, Garrett.
Yeah, this is the invert of the field, Peter. These guys are feeling each other out. They're not used to racing with the guys that are around them. A lot of the fast cars are towards the back, or guys that maybe didn't get to run as many laps as they would have liked in these cars the first time around. So I'm looking forward to a lot of shuffling and hopefully maybe some less amount of accidents would be ideal as well. But you see some of these guys, we already have a bigger breakaway at the back of the pack of single car guys just trying to stay out of trouble. But they are racing side by side up here in the top 12 or so.
And look at this car right here, the number 61, Bronson Stafford, who won race number 1 and crazily enough started tail end of the field. He's working his way up into the top 5 as, Tellier's in the wall back behind him. Just saw Mike Floppy Tellier smack the wall. Looked like he got loose there in the middle of the corner. And Tellier's going to drop back. That is Bronson Stafford's kind of dancing buddy up there at the front of the field. But Stafford all by his lonesome, just keeping his foot in it. almost up into the top 5, getting a little bit close there with the Timmy's number 96 machine, another Canadian. As we've gotten quite a few Canadians now in the Total Nonstop Racing League. I think it was just Tellier a season or 2 ago. But more Maple Leafs in the field. As they're 3 wide up at the front of the field. And yeah, definitely a different feel to race number 1. It seemed like for the first lap or 2, Garrett, they were being really cautious. Now, it took 25 or so laps to get 3 wide in race number 1. But this race, we're 3 wide on lap number 4.
I think these guys are enjoying the smoother surface, the nighttime temperatures, and just guys like Bronson Stafford who have speed. They want to get up to the front. They want to dictate this race and control these lines. We see 3 cars nose to tail on the top and only 2 cars on the bottom, but that bottom lane is being able to prevail so far. But that third lane, Peter, we got to keep our eye on that. It seems like guys are more willing to take that risk and go up there to that third lane. And like you said, if you could keep your foot in it when these guys have to check up to not run into each other on the bottom 2 lanes, that could be a heck of an advantage for you as you work your way up towards the front of the field.
On board with the number 63, this is Eric Kepf, as you get to feel how claustrophobic Daytona can be. He's stuck behind the number 81 in front of him, but then there's a car to his outside as you see the race leader, the 77, Ty Smith in the wall, up at the front of the field. Excuse me, not Ty Smith, that's the number 77 back behind him of Matt Muir. There we go, finally able to find the number 77, as there was a little bit of contact, I think, between Lorello and Muir that got this all up out of whack. The 77 going around, got a big lick from the number 14, and looks like Tellier, and looks like the 64 back there also might have got a piece, Vincent Valvano. Let's get a look here from the blimp cam, because we were watching these drivers race just a lap before with the blimp cam, and that's the bump draft there, Garrett, that went bad in a hurry, lifted the whole back end of the 77 up off the ground, turned him right around at the front of the field. It's kind of a miracle that one wasn't worse.
Wow, Peter, didn't expect to see that, but like you said, the bump drafting with these cars is just not something that's going to work out beneficial for a lot of guys. It just reminds me of any time I have Tristan behind me on track. You know you're going to get spun out. So certainly a tough break, 2 races in a row there for the 77. Going to wind up either on the holler or in rough shape. But here's an even better you see the back end of that car just get jacked up, and then you pretty much have no control over it.
Yeah, that was on board with James Lorello, as looks like we had another car go around back there. Not sure who that was. Let's see if we can maybe figure out who it was towards the back of the field. This will be a big benefit, I think, for Matthew Rodriguez, who is well back in the field. Let's play this. I forgot to use the replay button. How about that? We sorted it out, though. There's the number 55 machine. Steven Doziak, ran underneath Wags and spun around right there. And that's a lot of front-end damage on the number 55, and Wags will have a lot of rear-end damage. That's a tough break for our good friend Wags, Austin Grover. So lap number 7, Garrett, we said it felt a lot different than race number 1. It took, about 18 laps or so till we saw the first caution in race number 1. Here we go, inside the first 10, already under caution flag here tonight.
Yeah, not exciting, but I think these guys kind of felt each other out, and they think, I'm going to get to the front, and I'm going to lead this race and stay out of trouble, and you see what happens. Guys just in a hurry to get to the front. I think some of that damage is fixable on some of these cars, and I'm certainly rooting for mostly everybody to get back out there. I think the 77 is going to have the hardest time getting back up to speed after all that, but just plate racing, Peter, and you talked about Chuck Sweeting and his feeling on plate racing in the first race, how you want to get it over with if you're that type of race car driver. And some guys love it, some guys hate it, and you see why people hate it after a wreck like that.
Yeah, and Chuck Sweeting probably not too fond of it right now as he sits in his pit box getting that rear end damage fixed. There's Austin Grover, who somehow, some way looks like he's got a completely clean number 83. He got absolutely clobbered by the number 55 of Steven Doziak Jr. There is Doze in the Mountain Dew machine getting, I think it's a Major Melon scheme, getting that the panels beaten out of that race car. Meanwhile, the field is working their way through turn number 3 and 4, so those drivers will have to get rolling here in a hurry if they do not want to go one lap down. Racing pace car lights, though, continuing to twinkle atop the whatever car that is, kind of the Kiaudi Hyundai machine, all kind of smushed together. As Ty Smith, though, started on pole, dropped back a little bit, but is now back up to the front of the field. So we'll double them up here, go back green here shortly. It will be 8 laps in the books and 32 to go when we go back to green flag. There goes the number 77 rather. Matt Moyer, who somehow, someway, Garrett, continues to keep plugging along, and it honestly doesn't look all too bad. I don't know. Maybe that I don't know if that shot of this kind of skew of the car kind of made it look like it might be worse than just a little bit of aero damage on his race car, but we'll wait and see if he's
Peter,
able to get.
I'm thinking about, like, sometimes from a distance, like even like Doze's girlfriends look good. I think if we zoomed in on that number 77, there'd be a whole world of problems, much like Doze when he meets them in person. So just, sometimes looks can be deceiving, Peter. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, looks can definitely be deceiving here in iRacing. That is for sure. I've been there before, and sometimes you have a race car that looks perfectly fine, and it isn't fine. One driver that I'm going to be very interested about is currently running in 9th. That's Mike Floppy Teller. He got a piece of that accident right there. You see the True North Cannabis Company, Toyota, looks okay. Doesn't look like he's got any damage. In fact, looks like everything's okay, but he definitely got into the spinning number 77 machine. But meanwhile, you look at James Arello, who's there in 3rd, and he's got a big caved-in front end from that bump draft gone wrong. So, I'm not sure. Lorello could be off the pace. Tellier might not be. I don't know. Let's find out here as the iRacing.com pace car once again about to leave the racetrack. Folks, how's it going in the chat? Thanks for tuning in here tonight. If you're in the chat, let us know who you want to see win and what your thoughts of race number 2 are. It's definitely been a little bit more crazy as the pace car is down on pit road. Green flag in the flagman's hand. We're back racing here at Daytona. It's going to take them a little bit of time here, Garrett, to get them all up to speed. Well, let's go on board here with race 1 winner Bronson Stafford for this restart.
Yeah, we'll see what Bronson does here, trying to get his way through the field. We saw him utilizing that outside 3rd lane. Now he's tucked in here on the bottom. Don't think it's necessarily a bad place to be here at the smooth Daytona, but if you get in too big of a pack, you get the accordion effect. The guys start checking up, but you can see these guys with these cars, Peter, how they're kind of weaving back and forth. I mean, it is very hard to keep them in line. That's why we see that bump draft go wrong. That brought out our last caution.
Yeah, and really, Lorello kind of had the number 77 kind of come up in front of him to kind of throw a little bit of a block. And Lorello thought, you know what, I'm just not going to check up. But at the same time, if you check up, you might get run over too. So sometimes it could be a little bit of a double-edged sword. But it was definitely hard racing in the opening couple of laps that led to the first caution flag. And Garrett, do you think that's going to change anything now going forward? Do you think these drivers might say, you know what, we just had a pretty big accident. It wasn't a big accident. It could have been a lot bigger because it happened right in the front of the field. It's the 81 of Ty Smith. Might have got a little bit loose out of turn number 2. They're still racing hard out there. I was just about to say, maybe they're going to calm down a little bit, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I don't expect them to calm down, Peter. I think these shorter races, I mean, not that this is that much shorter than a normal Daytona race here in the Daytona Racing League, but these guys are just going for it lap after lap. I think they know how critical track position is, and some of these guys, Peter, from what I understand, you could make it 30-ish laps on a tank. So some of these guys might be done pitting if this thing goes green, these guys who made their pit stop. So that's something else I want to keep in mind as far as the urgency goes. These guys that already got what they got, maybe that some strategy will come into play later if there is a late caution.
Yeah, might just be a splash of fuel to the end of the race for some of those who just pitted. But meanwhile, 3 wide once again. The number 14, Gavin Fitzgerald, who has really played with 3 wide in both races now. He's right there in the middle, finally able to clear Tom Bourne on the high side, but Bourne might have gave a little bit of a love tap to the back of the number 14, as the 14 had a pretty big wiggle there as they continue to not really look settled. This is a smoother version of Daytona, Garrett, but these race cars don't look in the racetrack. They look kind of loosey-goosey, just kind of riding above the racetrack. Racetrack might be a little bit greasy after a hot summer's day down in South Florida, but I don't know. These race cars just don't look fully settled from my point of view. It is, of course, a fixed setup league. If this is your first ever TNR race to watch, everyone has the same setup, so they're all fighting with the same thing out there, but definitely seems a little sketchy as you're watching the number 16 right here, the old Biff machine. Greg Biffle used to run that National Guard number 16. I know a lot of people had many thoughts about Greg Biffle on super speedways, but we'll put that aside as the number 16 jumps up there to that high line. He's going to drop back down. Garrett, go! There's contact. The 14's in the wall. Now to 16. There's more contact. And the 16 goes up and over in the infield on his lid. Barrel rolls, rusty rolls down the backstretch. And big wreck number 2 in race number 2 here as caution waves once again.
Well, I guess we could go about 6 laps here under green before all heck breaks loose, Peter, but we'll take a look here at our 3-wide TV replay and see exactly what happened to bring out this second yellow of the race. And we're sort of queuing it up here. Must be a deep dive. Oh, Peter, it's way too late.
Yeah, we're going to have to go back just a little bit more on this one, but we're going to have to get there. We go. We might have to go even a little bit further back. Let's go one more time. Let's go back. There we go. Let's put it in slow motion. Coming down the backstretch. Number 16's in the middle. Number 14 comes down. Maybe tries to throw a little bit of a block. Number 16 really just not able to really back out of it in time. It looks like a long time in slow motion. Tellier nowhere to go. Bronson Stafford, race 1 winner in the number 61 back there. Looks like he was able to kind of get through it okay, at least so far. The number 12 spinning up the racetrack right there. Oh, I actually don't know who the number 12 is. Oh, there goes Bronson Stafford. Stafford gets a piece of it. Race 1 winner right there. Looks like Wags was able to skirt through it. Number 12 is not the number 12 on the scoring pylon. I have to figure out who that is. But my oh my, I think the big one is the number 16 machine, because the number 16 got, the worst of it. And Garrett, you know what this calls for? The 3-wide TV gyro cam, folks. Strap in, because this is going to be a wild ride through the grass. Up and over once, up and over twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. And, we'll remove a half for that. Like 5.5 barrel rolls for the number 16. And he's still able to drive it away. How about that? Pretty crazy that he's able to do so. But I think that is night done, unfortunately, for the number 16 machine. As we'll go back to live scenes. Looks like Tellier did not pit. Interesting call here, Garrett. We saw him get involved in that accident, but likes to stay out.
Yeah, I think he's got that fuel mileage calculated to the exact 40 lap window, and I think he's going to take a chance on track position. Maybe these cautions, he's saving some fuel. I wouldn't put it past those sneaky Canadians, Peter, especially Floppy, who we've known forever. He always has a trick up his sleeve, and he's really good at these plate races. So, like we said, some of these guys might roll the dice here on track position. It's a different race, though, Peter. I don't know what I'd be doing if I was in this race right now. I'd probably be typically near the back anyway, but I think I'd be letting these guys wreck. I don't think we're done.
I don't think we are done either. Drivers on pit road still as we continue to pace here. Matt Muir, there's Sean Billman just starting to roll. Brandon Buchwald, who was involved in that accident. Tom Bourne, we saw him do all the barrel rolls. Gavin Fitzgerald in the number 14, we saw him right up at the top of that accident. He's now rolling. Will Ratcliffe in the number 95 was not able to get out there in race number 2. Kind of did a half lap. Not sure what happened to the number 95, but Looks like we really only have 25 starters, and maybe 25 still rolling. We'll see whether or not Tom Bourne can get back out there, pick up some points. Ooh, we got Matthew Rodriguez pulling a big fake on the field. Now, at least, maybe not on the field, Garrett, but I was sold.
That's that Matthew Rodriguez. He is quite the character out there. He likes to make our lives miserable up here in the booth sometimes with some of his antics. But yeah, I thought he was pitting there too, Peter. I'm trying to think back. I remember a race a couple seasons ago where somebody did that move. They were faking going down pit road and caused them what I want to call a big one under yellow. So I'm glad to see everyone behind him was paying attention, not texting while driving or drinking while driving, which I'm sure doesn't happen around here.
No, it definitely doesn't happen because we definitely don't have drivers in the race right now in our 3Y TV chat, because that happens too. When we get a couple of drivers start chatting along and we're like, bro, you're racing. And I think the one driver who used to do that a lot was Tristan Maher, but Thuggy is not racing with us here tonight. Don't think Thuggy will have a whole lot of races with us this season. Hopefully Thuggy can get out there and race with the field, but has a new job. Will prevent him from racing on Monday night. Sometimes things are bigger than sim racing, Garrett. As much as we wish things were not bigger than sim racing, there often are things that are more important than sim racing, and making money is one of those. So, Thuggy, hope all is well with you, and hope to see you out there on the racetrack here soon. But I also can't wait to see Green Flag Racing, as we're almost there. iRacing pace car lights continue to be off. So looks like we're going to go back green here shortly with 24 laps to go, closing in on the halfway mark. And of course, those bonus points, Garrett.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. They're coming to the stage points here in a couple laps, but I have a smile on my face, Peter. I'm thinking that the 47, the 57 are going to drive and control these front two lanes and make this chaos. That's just a prediction based off of racing with these guys in the past, what's going to happen here. But maybe team orders too, that one of them will let the other one down, and we'll see what happens. But I'm looking for 47, 57 to control this race.
Well, green flag waves, and at least for right now, it's the number 47 that does lead the way. There's the number 57 dropping right in behind him, just like you expected. Then there's Eric Kepf, who had a tough race number 1, hoping to bounce back here in race number 2. He's third in line, and then back behind him, that is Carl Faust, number 2 on the scoring pile, and number 12 out there on the racetrack. We saw him get a piece of that last accident as well. Now we'll start to see whether or not damage is going to affect the number 97, or excuse me, not the number 97, the number 47, as I'm kind of bouncing back to Tellier's old number. And Garrett doesn't look good here for Telliers. He's dropped back to the kind of the third car on the inside line. I just wonder if maybe Tellier here has damage from that last accident. That has allowed Matthew Rodriguez to get to the front of the field, past them on the outside, made it look easy as they come to the start-finish line.
Yeah, it's a good observation, Peter. Well, he's sucking right up to him now. It's possible that maybe he can't lead, but he could be a good second car in line, a pusher, if he has the right support with him. But the outside lane looks pretty strong. James Lorello, and I believe that's the 63 of Kempf. Is that how we're going with, Peter? But a tremendous run up there on the top high side.
Yeah, it's Eric Kempf, the number 63 that Pontiac Grand Prix has James Lorello tucked up right behind him. As that was a little sketchy there. That inside line broke up at the last moment on entry into turn number 3. I've seen that happen before, leading to a big accident here at Daytona International Speedway. Meanwhile, the field is maybe a little bit better formed up than what we have seen, at least from nose to tail of the field. As you can see, kind of 2x2 for the first 10 or so cars. Now, kind of everyone now 2x2 all the way back to race number 1 strong finisher Jonathan Gaston there in 18th. Look at him to the outside of Jimbo Casterline. And a lot of work here to do, Garrett. You see a lot of cars in front of him, but he's got a little bit of a bubble right now as we're on board with Gaston. There's runner-up in race number 1 just to his inside, kind of right there, finishing second and third, now running nose to tail almost out there on the racetrack. So a lot of work left to do, but this is about where they were in race number 1, both Grover and Gaston. So they, I'm sure, are not too upset as Robert Tripp kind of flirting 3 wide a little bit midfield. Now he's got race number 1 winner, Bronson Stafford, who was involved in an accident a little while ago, getting a little bit tight up there on the top side, squeezing those oranges up there.
Peter, is that the 77 running up to speed there, a couple cars behind him? What the heck is going on? What kind of pit crew do they have working on that thing?
That's a very good question. I thought that number 77 would be done for us. Oh, Robert Tripp and the 14 make a little bit of contact. That was a hairy moment. The one car that's still sitting on pit road, though, is Tom Bourne. That number 16 looks like his night is done. Tough break for the pole sitter, who's really, the night started off so good. But the number 16 getting the barrel rolls in here tonight. Race number 1 and race number 2. Pretty wild to kind of think about that. But yeah, nonetheless, the number 16 looks like a night done. We'll see him next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Good battle up here at the front of the field, though. Continues to be kept leading the race, but James Morello fighting strong on the outside with Bronson Stafford, race 1 winner, pushing him right there. The Hugger Oranges Ford Fusion, Garrett, was up there on the top side of the racetrack, was able to kind of make it work way up on the top side of the racetrack, made a few passes, and now on the podium again as he races side by side with Matt Stafford to his inside.
Some of these plate racers, Peter, you just can't hide from their talent, and these guys find their way to get up towards the front. And I'm certainly not surprised to see guys like Bronson Stafford, Matthew Rodriguez, but I'm also keeping my eye on James Lorello, Jamar Dumas, guys who didn't have the best race 1, but are guys who have proven themselves in this league, proven themselves in other leagues to be championship caliber drivers. And I think we have such a good mix to provide the type of finish we need for this race, and I'm hoping these guys could keep it together for another 19 laps.
Of course, points did pay out. Top 8 finishers top 8 runners at the end of lap number 20 get the bonus points. That is James Morello in the all-white machine up there. Kind of getting my Chevrolets all mixed up, but Lorello led that last lap. Not sure if he got the bonus points for winning the stage or not, but we do have rolling stages here in Total Nonstop Racing League. We don't throw a caution flag, which is nice. It keeps things rolling, keeps things moving at pace, as we are now inside 50 miles to go here at Daytona International Speedway. Just looking up and down the scoring pile on Bronson Stafford, of course, the biggest mover of the race. Started shotgun on the field in this race, now running up there in 3rd. Really, no one else has made close to as many positions gained. Austin Grover and Carl Faust and Chuck Sweeting each have gained 11 spots. But currently, Bronson Stafford plus 22 since the drop of the green flag. So things, though, changing very quickly here at Daytona, as they tend to do. Lap count continuing to wind down. 17 laps to go. There's the number 98 machine of Ryan Potter down below the yellow line briefly. Works his way back up there onto the racing service. Maybe saw something in front of him, Garrett, that he didn't quite like and decided to maybe get a little bit extra room. We're right on board with the number 98 machine here as he comes out of turn number 4 to the start-finish line. And look at this speed. Bring up the graphic here, bottom right-hand corner. You see anywhere between 193 to 200 miles an hour with these Gen 4 cars. They fly around this racetrack.
Peter, we just had somebody pulling the Johnny through the grass there, but
now who would that be? Would that be that Eric Kepf in up there in? Oh, sure enough, it was the number 63. Goes through the grass, keeps his foot in it, and rejoins right at the back of the field. But that's a darn shame for Kepf. He was right up there at the front of the field. Thanks for calling that out.
I'm laughing so hard over here.
I mean, let's see if we get one more look at that. Up at the front of the field, kind of pulls up. Does he pull up in front of Bronson Stafford? Comes out of the corner, pulls up in front of Stafford. Does he get a bump gone wrong? Yeah, looks like maybe a bump gone wrong. And then maybe another little bump there from the number 57 of Matthew Rodriguez. But does a great job. Keeps his foot in it. Keeps his foot in it. And that's what you got to do.
Good job.
And unfortunately for was Kep able to keep up with the field? No, he was not. There's the field And unfortunately, he's all by his lonesome. Vincent Valvano and Brandon Buchwald. Buchwald's going lap down right now. Also not with the lead pack, but up at the front of the field, it is James Arello. Got Mike Floppy Tails. Oh, we got a car around in the back. Was that Buchwald? It was Buchwald. The number 96 grinds to a halt. That's what 0 miles an hour looks like, folks, as the graphic right there showed. Let's see if we can figure out what happened here with another 3-wide TV replay. But action heating up once again here at Daytona.
Yeah, it's certainly heating up, Peter. Oh, whoa, wow, he's speeding away from everybody. Here's the 96 getting lapped up there, has some damage, just trying to stay out of the way. And somebody's going to close too quickly here, I think, Peter. We're going to see what happens. And, wow, just got jacked up there.
And that was Steven Doziak Jr. who kind of threw him for a spin, but no caution flag came out. He's on pit road right now. Here is the field racing through the tri-oval, and look at that. Look who our race leader is. Bronson Stafford, the number 61 Hugger Oranges Ford Fusion. James Arello on the inside. It's you got the number 98 right back behind him. That's the Fresh Florida machine. You got Oranges leading. You got Fresh Florida right back behind him. It's the Florida tag team up at the front of the field. The number 77. Holy smokes, that was Matt Muir right in the middle of the field with a big tank slapper. This is going to call for the 3-wide TV blimp cam. That was one heck of a save. Here we go. 3-wide TV blimp cam. Got the number 14 right behind him. And, we've seen that a couple times here tonight. Matt Muir, I think, has been on the receiving end of that bump a couple of times. He drops to the back, but holy smokes, that was one heck of a save. You don't see that one happen here at Daytona a lot without causing a big wreck. We've said that a couple of times, but Garrett, these Total Nonstop Racing drivers, they're good. And they're putting on a show here for the fans.
They certainly are putting on a show, and I think there might be some hurt feelings after this race, but you know how that goes with plate racing, Peter. It'll last maybe a day or two, and then we're on to Old Atlanta next week. But these guys are all out there putting on a show for their families, their friends, their sponsors, and they want to win this thing. I mean, 2 chances tonight. You missed out on the first one, unless you're Bronson Stafford. And so far, he's looking to be a little bit greedy, Peter. And I mean, don't you ever get sick of winning? I guess not.
No. You want to win every week. And I think that did finally confirm. James Arello is running a DuPont scheme on the number 13. Very indicative of DuPont Automotive finishes. There's a little bit of smoke there coming from the back of the field. That might have been from either Robert Tripp or the number 14 machine up there, Gavin Fitzgerald. And we know Gavin has not been afraid to put that Pontiac Grand Prix in some precarious positions here tonight. But Garrett, the bell's ringing. 10 laps to go. It's starting to be go time here in race number 2 here, brought to you by Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. And speaking of Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, let's go figure out where Jimbo is. There's Jimbo, number 18 machine. Let's ride on board with him right here. He's got a good view of the field if anything were to happen. But a good ride for him so far, keeping it clean. Hopefully doesn't have internet problems like he did in race number 1. And right behind Steven Doziak Jr. Don't think there's a scratch on the number 18 machine. Maybe just playing a little bit patient here as the lap count continues to wind down.
Yeah, I think Jimbo's either recording for the podcast or talking about Jordan Mailata singing at a wedding, the Eagles left tackle, or he's out there just waiting for another big one to happen, and he's going to make his way forward like Wags and Doze and them did last race. But you're Jimbo, you're doing what you got to do. You got to be there on the last lap to have a good finish. So he's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's in control of his own destiny there at the bottom line, pretty much last car in line. But it looks like some of these guys are getting even more racy, and this pack's getting even tighter up towards the front, Peter.
It is. And folks, I want to apologize if you hear the dog barking in the background. It's because someone in the neighborhood is lighting off fireworks. And the dog's going crazy. So, of course, tomorrow is 4th of July. I want to give a shout-out to everyone here in the U.S. of A. Happy 4th of July to everyone. So, I don't think it's my dog's favorite holiday due to the fireworks. But you hear him in the background, that's my pup, Oliver. So, give Oliver a hello. But up at the front of the field, still Bronson Stafford. And look who he's got behind him, Garrett. He's got his old buddy, Mike Floppy Tellier. It was a tale of the Telliers in race number 1, but now Stafford has his own name back, and Mike's back behind him once again.
Yeah, you think, don't be greedy, Bronson. Like, you raced as Mike. The least you can do for stealing his identity is push him to the win. Don't have him push you to your second win tonight. Let's be a true Canadian friend. I mean, I don't know, Peter. It just seems to me that maybe they should reverse positions here, but it looks like Bronson's happy leading, Mike's happy pushing. Maybe with that damage, it's probably best for Mike not to be out front. But when it comes time for that last lap, will teammates abandon each other, Peter, to win a race? I mean, we've seen it before work both ways. We've seen Mike for a long time in his career always be that second runner-up guy, and then last season it seemed like he broke through and started having people push him. So you want to win these things. We're going to see. I think Mike's desire to win this race might overcome his desire to push that 61 to a second victory tonight.
Wasn't there a stereotype that Canadians are supposed to be really nice and, like, you know, maybe like Bronson will be like, oh, okay, Mike, you win race number 2, you know, that's okay. I don't know. I mean,
that's fair. I agree.
Oh, we're still bouncing and banging off of one another as, the 28 machine coming up the racetrack with Jamar Dumas. And there's contact, the 18 Jimbo Casterline in the wall. Jimbo. Let's see what happened there. Not going to bring out a caution. We're going to say green flag here, G. But that looked all types of sketchy. As let's play the 3-wide TV replay right here. Let's go slow-mo. Matthew Rodriguez might have got a bump from the number 14 that went wrong. Then the number 2 machine right there was able to save it. The 28 comes down the racetrack. That's Jamar Dumas. And then he comes back up the racetrack right in front of Wags. And then they go 4 wide there. Then Jimbo smacks into Dumas. And somehow, some way, they're able to keep on racing. Green flag conditions. And up at the front of the field, we now have a little bit of a 5-car breakaway. That's interesting. First time we've seen a little breakaway like this. And we have 5 laps to go. So 5 cars, 5 laps to go in the running, unless we get another caution flag or something like that. That second pack, though, going to try and do everything they can to catch up to the front group. I think they are slowly but surely closing in on this front pack. So we might have more cars. Of course, more cars the better as we come to 4 laps to go this time. And yeah, sure enough, they're going to be there. They're going to be closing. And if they can stay formed up, they might be able to get a run on this front pack.
Yeah, I think they're going to actually be able to work their way through these guys if they can stick together. We see Lorello realizing he's got, there's going to be a wreck there, Peter. I think they're going to keep it going straight, going green. It's the same thing as we had in our first race. James Lorello going down into the infield, pit exit there. But wow, Peter, these guys are wrecking, but not wrecking, I guess is a very intelligent way of putting it.
Yeah, let's get this replay right here. There's contact right there in the middle between Lorello and the number 98 machine. And they kept it going again here, Garrett. Incredible.
Well, where are we at now, Peter?
Well, we're coming to 3 laps to go. Bronson Stafford still the race leader. Chuck Sweeting has also joined this battle up at the front of the field in the number 75 machine. How about that? He was on pit road for a long pit stop a little while ago, earlier in the race, to get damage repaired. He's back in the fray. We got about, do the math, 7 cars duking it out here. 3 laps to go, and it is Bronson Stafford, our race leader, over his buddy Mike Tellier. You're still going to have to break those 2 up.
You're going to have to break them up, but I see the 57, Matthew Rodriguez. He's going to want to get up there, get himself in the 3rd position, and he's going to dictate the winner of this race, and then he's going to play those 2 guys off against each other, saying, I would have helped you, or I would have helped you. That's what he's going to do, Peter, because he likes to create chaos and good TV. Coming to 2 to go. These guys side by side. Top lane's got a lot more drivers on it.
I'm surprised that Tellier kind of let him tried to make that pass with kind of coming to 2 to go instead of leaving it a little bit later, but that shuffles things around. Now look at who's in second. I thought his night might be done a little while ago. That's Matthew Rodriguez. He was on the bad end of a little bit of contact a little while ago. This is all types of crazy coming down the backstretch. The number 14, the other Canadian. We got 3 Canadians in the top 4 right now. Matt Rodriguez is the Odd one out. Now Carl Faust going to try and take a run for the race lead on the high side. We're coming to the white flag this time. 3 wide on 3 wide TV. Don't you love to see it?
I love to see it, Peter, and that's why the station has its name. But Mike had the advantage. He's running out of fuel, Peter. Oh, my goodness.
How about that pit strategy going against Mike on the final lap? Can you believe that? Canadian drivers now duking it out for the win. You got Bronson Stafford trying to go 2 for 2 tonight in the doubleheader. Then to his inside, Gavin Fitzgerald, who has been extremely aggressive. Chuck Sweeting is right where he was at this point in race number 1. They have
There's
a lap
Robert
car.
Tripp.
And Tripp now, 4th car on the inside. Gavin Fitzgerald not able to do anything just yet. Is he going to make a move to the high side? He has to do something now. We're coming to the checkered flag. The number 14 looks high. He's going to look back low. Not able to do it. He's going to go below the yellow line. There's going to be contact. And, Tripp in the wall. But it's Stafford going 2 for 2 at Daytona. Wow. Garrett, it's a good time to be sponsored by Hugger Oranges in the state of Florida because he gets oranges for breakfast tomorrow.
Wow, Peter. We've seen Watermelon Man from Florida. I think we have our Orange Man. That doesn't sound as good, Peter. I want you to work on that for next week. We'll get him a nickname. But Bronson Stafford, domination tonight, 2 for 2. I would say the odds were pretty slim that we are going to have a repeat winner tonight, but Bronson did absolutely everything he could, including changing his name between races, and walked away with a second victory. But what a finish. Incredible. Chuck Sweeting sneaking up there at the end. Robert Tripp. Fitzgerald coming home in second. These guys just putting on a tremendous show, Peter, and I think we got everything we could have asked for in these season opening dual races sponsored by Stay Tuned Sports.
Well, as you can tell, Doug in the background going crazy as well for Bronson Stafford's victory here tonight at Daytona International Speedway. Doing the double. I mean, Garrett, what are the chances of winning 2 races back-to-back at Daytona? I mean, in my book, they're pretty slim.
You have to do what, 1 over 25 times 1 over 20. You're the math guy, Peter, but right, would it be that difficult? It's pretty hard, I would say.
Yeah, sweeping the night is Bronson Stafford, as Mike Tellier there doing a little bit of burnout alongside him. Tellier fell all the way down to 19th with that late race issue, which was very surprising, Garrett. You know, I would have to say that Tellier must have thought there was going to be another yellow. He was 1 yellow flag short of making it the whole way, just not able to make it the whole way, which is pretty crazy as they do tandem side-by-side burnouts here on the front stretch. But Stafford, Fitzgerald, and Rodriguez are top 3 finishers in race number 2.
Yeah, great job by those 3. I'm sure you're going to cue them up for interviews as your poor dog deals with fireworks. So my dogs are the same way. They get very upset when people start blowing off fireworks, so I certainly can relate. But Mike Tellier, I thought he had that fuel mileage calculated perfectly, and that's such a heartbreaker with 1 lap to go. But he did the right thing, Peter. He didn't want to be out there get in the way of somebody running out of fuel as guys are going 200 miles an hour. So good job by him, kind of putting himself behind the good of everybody else in the field. But that being said, I think we have our interviews queued up, and we're going to start with our 3rd place finisher, Matthew Rodriguez.
Take it away, Jeet.
Hey, Matt Rod, I gave you some love on the broadcast, talked about how you're absolutely a madman out there. Coming to that finish, what was in your head? Which one of your teammates were you going to push? Did you know Mike was going to run out of fuel?
I didn't know Mike was going to run out of fuel, but it was I was fueled by anger at that point. I had been involved in like 3 little incidents, no cautions came out, and I was like, okay, well, at this point, I'm not lifting him. I don't know how many people know this. I haven't raced on the sim seriously in months, so I've lost any bit of skill that I had, and that had to be like one of the scariest finishes I've ever had because I didn't know what the car was going to do.
I'm going to have to call BS on you not having any talent because you made a tremendous save. I think Peter was speechless for a second. You know how hard that is for Peter to get speechless, but did you think you were going to save that? Because like that was sketchy as all hell.
Yeah, I was a little bit iffy on that. I have not really driven these cars before this race, and I didn't really do any practice. But I kind of just went back to the default of when at the end of last race, I just locked up the tires for fun. I was like, well, if I lock up the tires for fun and it kind of rights the car, so what if I just punch the brakes? And when I started getting kind of unsettled, I just punched the brakes real quick and it settled back out the car and just kept going straight.
Well, that's good advice for everyone. A lot of guys ended up keeping the straight line when we didn't think they had it saved, but we're not going to drag on interviews too long tonight. I hope to see you race somewhat regularly with us. It's always great to have you. But before I let you go, if you want to give your shout outs to your teammates and sponsors, the floor is yours, bud.
That's a big impress to Bronson. I didn't think he'd go back to back. That thing doesn't need a pass post race. That thing had to be cheated up. I guess maybe thanks to you guys. Obviously, it's nice to see Peter back. Nice to see you, Garrett. I haven't seen you in a while. That said, I really don't have very Matt Muir. We actually probably should not be advertising this on stream. We cyberbullied him into racing tonight, so I was very happy to see Muir make his appearance. I hope he comes back out to more because he's an extremely good guy. He paints all of our cars. Awesome guy, Matt Muir Designs.
Well, sounds like you got the whole crew here, and I certainly appreciate you recruiting all those guys, and I hope to see you and them next week for Old Atlanta. I think that's a place that you'll have some fun with if you do show up.
I think I'll be in the fence fin lap 5, but we'll see.
Oh, that's exciting either way. But thanks for being here, bud. Congratulations on 3rd place, and I will throw it to Peter Short, who is caught up with our 2nd place finisher.
At least I think I've caught up with tonight's 2nd place finisher. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. So we're just going to pull someone up into the booth, and I don't think the username, at least on my end, is showing that this is Gavin Fitzgerald, but let's just check in. Gavin Fitzgerald, this is Peter Short 3YTV booth. Is that you?
Yeah, got you loud and clear.
All right. Your username in the Discord isn't quite what I was expecting it to be, but nonetheless, 2nd place here tonight. Strong run for you. It didn't look like you were afraid to put that number 14 in tricky spots here tonight. It was a wild one here in race number 2. Kind of talk us through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just coming in here, I just that first race, definitely, I heard you guys talking about feeling it out. That's what we came and did. I knew kind of what I could and couldn't get away with. Definitely had a couple tricky spots there. I knew after that first caution, I thought we were in a lot of trouble with the car, which we kind of were. We were down on engine power there for the last little bit, but the car was just ridiculously good in the draft. That's why when I jumped out of line off of 4, I had nothing for Bronson because we were down on power and I was too far away from Matt to get the push. But no, we just played our cards right today, kept our nose in it. Did what we had to do and came out with a good result for the Giant Tiger Pontiac.
I'll tell you what, it was quite the night for the Canadians here at Daytona International Speedway. A 1-2 in race number 2. Do you think you can carry that on towards Atlanta next week?
Yeah, absolutely. Is it new Atlanta or old Atlanta?
It's old. Sure. It's old Atlanta. We're letting them all get slippery and sideways.
I would say that's perfect. That's right up my alley. These cars especially. That's the one thing I really like about these cars is they drive slippery. I'm definitely a guy who prefers loose race cars compared to a lot of the cars nowadays that just plow off the corner. I love how these things drive. You come off the corner and if you're way too hard on the gas, it's gonna bust the back end out. And I love that. So that absolutely we can carry the momentum from today into next week for sure. Yeah.
Well, definitely was a great race for you here tonight. Congratulations on the 2nd. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give out?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, Giant Tiger for being on the car every week, every league. I can't thank them enough for everything. Eric Cap, All Spectrum Racing. I know Nathan Jump, you're watching right now, buddy. I'd like to wish him a happy engagement. He just got engaged, I believe, last week to his girlfriend. So, now fiance. So good for him. Yeah, Spectrum Racing, Eric Cap, RJ Williams for keeping me on, and you guys for putting on a great broadcast, and all the admins for putting on this great league.
All right. Well, congratulations once again, and hope to talk to you again soon, Gavin.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, that is tonight's runner-up here, folks. Let's go down to Victory Lane. Garrett Gleason has caught up with, I don't know. I think we should just put a chair down there, Garrett, and call it Bronson Stafford Victory Lane because he's in Victory Lane again, G.
Now, Bronson, you're Mike's friend. There's no need to be greedy tonight. What do you say will give him the win from the first race?
I don't. If he takes it, you'll have to ask him. I don't know if he'll take it though.
Yeah, yeah. Actually don't think he would. He's actually that good of a guy.
No,
But,
he wouldn't.
I mean,
Oh, that was fun. That race was even better than the first one, in my opinion.
did anything change strategy wise after winning the first race? Did it get looser? Did you feel like you were just gonna have more fun this race, or did you kind of just
I
YOLO
went for fun. I went for fun. Because once I found out I would be starting 26th. I hope broadcast caught it. I went from 26th to 4th in 3 laps. No, I just went out there to try and have fun. Obviously, not like get anyone's way or like cause a wreck kind of thing, but just try and help my teammates more than anything with helping them try to win this race. And it just ended up that I was the car in front, so I was the one getting the push.
No, we talked to Matt Rod. He said he did not know that Mike was short on fuel. Did you know Mike was short on fuel, and that had anything to do with the way you guys shuffled there towards the end?
We weren't 100% sure, because in the draft it was good. It went from good, not good, not good, like kind of thing. He didn't really say anything. Last 10 laps, I think, like even us talking to Gavin after, and he said he thought Mike was gonna make it. So like it was kind of, I don't know even how much if he was short by kind of thing, like just a assurance thing to not run out in the middle of the field, but. The biggest thing was I liked the top more than anything, honestly. So being able to link up, Mike actually had damage on the nose too, kind of thing. So it made more sense to try and get a healthier car behind for the final push and work with Matt Rod and try and see what can happen. It worked out. I mean, he got third out of it, and we were able to get the win with moving down in front of Gavin at the right time in 3. So.
Yeah, I certainly can't have any complaints after the night you had going 2 for 2 out here. If it was me, I'd probably retire and just call it a win on the season. But we are
yeah,
we are running a full season here for a championship. Do you plan on showing up next week at Atlanta and trying to make it 3 for 3?
I was planning to run as much as I can because I've never ran the Gen 4 Cup car until tonight, so I've consistently heard how much fun it's been. I was like, TNR is a good group and they're running it, so I was like, I'll run, I'll check it out there for sure, kind of thing. It was fun, and it's Legacy Atlanta next week, so I'm definitely gonna run because I have only ran New Atlanta recently and I hate it, so please bring me back. But no, I think it'll be a fun season. The schedule looks good, everything, so hopefully I can run as much as I can.
Awesome. We certainly appreciate having you, and congratulations on your 2 wins tonight. But before we let you go, if you'd like to give a shout out to your teammates, sponsors, family, and friends, please do so.
Yeah, again, the whole team, we worked really, really well tonight. Tom ran into some bad luck again, unfortunately, but, we had the good pushes from Matt Rod and Mike, and even Mira was there right at the end kind of thing. And, again, just you guys putting on TNR with everything that went in. I think tonight was fun. Really no wrecks or anything, so I think that's a good start of the season, and 3 Wide TV for coming on board and whatnot doing the season. Should be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, and go enjoy your victory, and we'll throw it back to our good buddy Peter Short, and we can go through the race rundown here of our final results.
Yeah, we're
thanks,
gonna.
guys.
Yeah, oh, man, 2 wins, incredible. It definitely doesn't happen here at Daytona very often. Let's bring up the final race results for tonight's Stay Tuned Sports doubleheader. Race number 2, like you said, Garrett, taking home the win. Bronson Stafford second, Gavin Fitzgerald, Matthew Rodriguez finishing in 3rd, Chuck Sweeting finishing in 4th, Matt Muir in 5th, Robert Tripp in 6th, DJ Stagner in 7th, Carl Faust in 8th, Stephen Doziak Jr. in 9th, and running at our top 10, Ty Smith there, G.
Sean Billman just outside the top 10 in 11th. Philip Scott in 12th. Jake Bustos coming home in 13th. Austin Grover 14th. Nice seeing you out there, Wags. I hope to have you back a bunch this season. Jonathan Gaston rounds out your top 15. Jason Schue in the number 3, 16th position. Ryan Potter in 17th position. Jimbo, number 18, finishes in 18th. Floppy has a stop for fuel there at the end. Comes home in 19th. And Eric Keff in the 63 rounds out your top 20.
21st here tonight goes to Jamar Dumas, James Orello 22nd, Vincent Valvano 23rd, Brandon Buchwald in 24th, Tom Bourne, terrible night for him, wrecking in both races, 25th, and Will Ratcliffe rounding out our 26th car field for race number 2. But Garrett, a lot of fun here tonight at Daytona International Speedway, Atlanta next week. What are your thoughts about that 1.5-mile track?
I can't wait to see these guys in those cars on that track. And that's a bunch of different words there, but that's exactly what I mean. These guys are going to do a tremendous job. It's going to be an amazing race. Hope everyone tunes in. And it's going to be a little sad. Only one race next week, but we'll do the best we can. Awesome to be back with you, bud.
Absolutely. I want to have a barking dog next week. Of course, 4th of July will be all over and done with. But folks, thanks for tuning in here tonight on 3 Wide TV. Stay safe and all that good stuff, and we shall see ya.